I didn't call you. I'll give you voter suppression. Take a look at the CNN polls, how inaccurate they were. That's called voter suppression.
Two critical races here for governor and for Senate. Let's first look at these brand new numbers from CNN in a new poll conducted by SSRS in the gubernatorial contest between Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum and Florida Congressman Ron DeSantis. Take a look at this. We are showing among likely voters a 12-point advantage for Gillum, 54% to 42%.
And we have another winner who is about to speak.
Florida Governor-elect Ron DeSantis joins us live.
Final NBC News Marist polls of tomorrow's statewide races in Florida. Andrew Gillum, the Democratic mayor of Tallahassee, is at 50%, 4 points ahead of Republican Ron DeSantis at 46%.
We've just gotten results in now from the state of Florida, big governor's race in the state of Florida, where the Democratic candidate Andrew Gillum has just conceded to Ron DeSantis, the Republican candidate.
Take a look at the race according to the gender gap, and I think this helps explain why we're seeing such a big Gillum lead in this poll. Look at that. 60% of women are going for Gillum. That is a 26-point advantage.
The pundits kind of rule for, almost 2 years, except that one Tuesday in November where the people get to speak. It doesn't matter what the pundits say. It doesn't matter what the media says. They don't get to set the agenda. The people of the state of Florida had an opportunity to set the agenda, and they responded to our message.
Right here in Florida.
It's so positive, it's jarring. It was the Obama show in Miami today. No Democrat does it quite like the 44th president. He was stumping for Bill Nelson and Andrew Gillum, who's now ahead of his Republican opponent in the race for governor by almost 3 points in the polling average.
Do you feel the weight of history on your shoulders?
I try not to think about that in that way, but I do think that my election could be the ultimate clapback to Donald Trump and divisive politics.
We are calling this race for the next governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis.
Things I should say in those polls you just showed to me are, number one, Gillum continues to lead.
Yeah.
Every poll I've seen of this matchup has had him ahead.
Gillum has been ahead from the beginning.
Yep.
Every poll, and I think he's dragging Nelson along.
I think
I think Nelson is in his draft.
And it hollered through this room.
That was only the beginning of the answer of the century from Florida Democratic candidate for governor Andrew Gillum in a debate against his opponent, Republican Ron DeSantis. Now, check out the entire clip that basically just ended DeSantis' political career. We have a better chance of seeing Roy Moore getting hired as a substitute teacher than for DeSantis to come back from this.
Florida will have a Republican governor for another 4 years. GOP candidate Ron DeSantis beat out his Democratic challenger Andrew Gillum.
Gillum does look right now like he has a little bit of space between himself and DeSantis, and he's back to where he was before the Kavanaugh hearings, looking pretty good against a guy who, as Kristen said, ran a scorched earth campaign, a Donald Trump campaign to win the primary. Maybe that works in Idaho. Probably doesn't work in the state of Florida.
Florida Senate race, we are also seeing that Democratic enthusiasm that we're seeing nationally play out here as well. We show among likely voters in this poll a race that is within the margin of error and will likely remain so, but has Nelson on top with 50% to Governor Rick Scott's 45%.
A new round of polling this weekend shows a bit of a tilt toward Democrats. The CNN SSRS poll has Democratic Senator Bill Nelson with a 5-point lead over Republican Governor Rick Scott, 50% to 45% among likely voters. Then in the governor's race, Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum is ahead by 12 points over Republican Ron DeSantis, 54% to 42%.
You have both Democratic candidates breaking pretty hard with 2 weeks to go.
Yeah, and I do want to see some more here just in terms of the outlier potential. But I would say overall, you're right. I mean, since the primary, it's been very consistent. Gillum has consistently led the governor's race. This is the largest margin I've seen him have a lead by, but he's consistently been ahead there.
Despite the rave reviews that Rick Scott has gotten for his handling of Hurricane Michael and its aftermath, CNN's most recent poll still shows Bill Nelson with a significant edge in the race.
Show of force in Miami today with Election Day now just 4 days away. Former President Barack Obama, Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum, and U.S. Senator Bill Nelson just wrapped up what they were calling the winning ticket rally in Miami.
Business Insider reports that Florida Governor Rick Scott won the U.S. Senate race in Florida, upsetting Democratic incumbent Senator Bill Nelson.
The tracking poll puts President Trump's approval rating to 40%. That's 16 points below his disapproval rating, which is at 56%.
Phil Bredesen in the lead, but only by 1 point. That's well within the poll's margin of error.
Taylor Swift broke her silence on politics over the weekend, publicly backing 2 Democrats in Tennessee, where she votes. She announced in an Instagram post that she will vote for former Governor Phil Bredesen. Now, Swift expressed strong opposition to the Republican Senate candidate Marsha Blackburn.
Last time he was up for re-election. He's running as an independent, very moderate type of messaging, and he seems to be striking a chord, and all the polling of late has seemed to indicate that it remains a very, very close race. And he faces off against Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn.
CBS News projects a winner in the state of Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn. Okay. Part of the Year of the Woman, and this a Republican woman heading to the United States Senate. She has been a congresswoman there.
It's a very, very close race.
Former governor of that state. And Marsha Blackburn running as a conservative, a Trump conservative in a state that elected Al Gore.
Hot off the presses right now in the key Indiana Senate race. We've got the incumbent Democratic senator with a very narrow lead, 3 points in a 3-way race, according to our new NBC News Mayor's poll of likely voters.
Breaking news right now here on CBS. CBS News projects the Democrats have lost a Senate seat that Republicans have picked up, a seat in the Hoosier state, Indiana. Mike Braun is the winner in the state of Indiana.
And this is interesting. Head-to-head, the poll has Donnelly ahead 48 to 46% over Braun, with 7% undecided. But let's compare that to the last NBC Marist poll, which had Donnelly ahead by 6%, 49-43% last September.
Guys, everybody look. Claire McCaskill pulling into the lead as she seeks a 3rd term. Come on, Claire, 50% to Attorney General Josh Hawley's 47%. My Lord.
Polling has shown Donnelly ahead in Indiana as well. Yeah. There's a chance McCaskill survives in Missouri and Donnelly survives in Indiana.
Josh Hawley runs away with it. Again, it was supposed to be a dead heat, beating out long-term Senator Democrat Claire McCaskill. Again, she voted no on Kavanaugh.
President Obama went to Georgia from Florida today to campaign for Stacey Abrams for governor in Georgia. Both sides know it's all going to come down to turnout in the Georgia race, where it is tied.
Secretary of State with a minimal lead over Democrat candidate Stacey Abrams.
This is one state in Arizona, actually, where a Democrat is holding on to a tight lead. That's Democrat Representative Kyrsten Sinema challenging Congresswoman Martha McSally, the Republican, in a state President Trump carried 49% to Hillary Clinton's 45%. Now,
people are watching a few races that are just too close to call at this point. In Arizona, the Senate race between Republican Martha McSally and Democrat Kyrsten Sinema in a dead heat.
Wow. You know, McSally wasn't even leading in any of the polls leading up to that. In Georgia, Republican Brian Kemp and Stacey Abrams are neck and neck in the battle for governor. If nobody gets to 50, they have a run up December 4th.
Voters, the survey done by St. Norbert College Strategic Research Institute polled 664 registered voters in Wisconsin, finding 47% plan to vote for Democrat Hillary Clinton, while 37% said they're voting for Republican Donald Trump.
CNN now projects that Donald Trump will carry the state of Wisconsin. He will win Wisconsin with its 10 electoral votes.
Hillary Clinton widening her lead in the latest national polls. Our new CNN poll of polls, that is the average of the last 4 polls, shows what you see on your screen. Clinton at 47, with Trump 8 points behind. Clinton has gained 2 points. Trump has dropped 2 since the last poll of polls.
The trends that we've seen all along are that Trump is sort of stuck in the high 30s, low 40s. Clinton is stuck, or, happily stuck in the mid 40s to high 40s, not over 50%, which would be the point at which we really say, stick a fork in. Trump has no path to victory.
In the end, many times voters get more enthusiastic if they think you're going to win. So as she looks like she has a lead in the polls, which I think is around 6 or 7, not 12, I think it's more like 6 or 7, that actually helps among her voters to get more enthusiastic.
And what would Donald Trump have to do to turn things around?
prayer. I mean, I think it's a very difficult prospect. After his sort of weekend of airing his grievances, he needs to be a little bit like Kramer and Seinfeld and hope for a Festivus miracle.
Donald Trump is the president of the United States.
From the Smith Radio studios, it's Carrie and Brian Smith. This is Smith Radio. You can tweet at Smith Radio, SMYTH Radio. And now, your host, Carrie and Brian Smith.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith and
Carrie Smith.
Giving you all the late-breaking news of last week, wrapping it all up, telling you what they didn't want you to know about on a Friday dump, Saturday afternoon to Sunday morning, because most people are sleeping in. Anyways, good evening to everybody. We've got some two incredible guests on this evening that we're going to be talking to, and we're going to be talking about the American Priority Conference, which is coming up here December 6th, 7th, and 8th. If you look down at the bottom of the screen, you can see AmericanPriority.com, December 6th, 7th, and 8th. And it's Priority CONF on the Twitters, right? I did something fancy.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the thing had some updates, so we got some fancy things going on here.
Oh, I like that. That's nice.
So Priority Conf, CONF on Twitter. Absolutely follow it, get all your updates. Go to the website.
AmericanPriority.com.
Yeah, like keep the audio for the show on so you can still hear us.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people have a bunch of devices laid out in front of them so that they can mess around with different devices or different apps while they're surfing the internet on their laptop.
Right.
And or desktop.
And we have a listener that gave me a heads up. I have the Roku stick and other people have the Fire stick or whatever. You know how your TV connects to the internet. Anyways, I got the Roku. On these sticks, if you will, that you plug into your TV, you can get the app Vimeo, Vimeo, Vimeo.
Oh, okay.
And you can watch us live on your TV in your living room.
If you're not already.
Right. That's pretty cool stuff.
All right.
So go over to AmericanPriorities.com, sign up, get set up, get squared away, get ready to go because it's going to be in December and it's only a couple of weeks. After this show, we have one show left and we are slated for some big guests. Don't hold your breath. But we're working on some big guests for next Sunday show as well that are speakers at the American Priorities Conference.
Hold your breath.
Hold your breath.
Yeah. Hold your breath.
So
it's coming.
We got Brandon Straka that will be on here down at the bottom of the hour. He will be a speaker at the American Priorities Conference. Also, Dr. Jane Ruby, author. She will be on the show at the bottom of the second hour. Why it's at the bottom of the hours, I don't know.
Oh, it just makes it better for programming because we pad everything in between, give us a little bit of leeway. And that's your inside baseball for today.
Right. And why are we doing this? Why American Priorities Conference? Well, while I was doing show prep today and while we were kind of looking throughout the news throughout the day, I could see a similar theme kind of fading through and coming in and out. And that theme is communism is alive and kicking. Very, very alive and well and kicking. We saw some of these. We'll get into it with Dr. Jane Ruby. She has come out calling out one of the female, I think for Congress, a woman, Muslim, up in Minnesota. Minnesota, you guys are lost, just like Dearborn, Michigan. So full-blown Muslim. She was elected to Congress, and her statements are that white men should be put in chains because they will not accept Sharia law or Islam. So there you go. There's your elected official, folks. So we're going to be talking about that. American Priorities Conference is to get back to the founding of this country. Get back. What are our priorities here in America?
Right.
They certainly aren't other countries' priorities. They're ours. America first. Make America great again. Donald Trump's agenda, if you will. That's where we're headed, to a better economy, booming jobs, booming market. Things are up and up and up. It's because of capitalism. And somebody made the comment, was complaining about her country in South America, how the government and capitalism and crony capitalism, and complaining about that and complaining about socialism. And I didn't have an ability to correct her, but folks, if the government is messing with capitalism, it is no longer capitalism. It's crony socialism. That's the moment you jump over. And ironically, Carrie and I were talking about that for years and years and years, and finally Rush Limbaugh started saying that.
Yeah, I'm beyond. I mean, the first time I heard it was Rush Limbaugh, but he didn't take credit for it. It was written in an article that he was citing on his show. So I think that needs to be repeated over and over. Whatever the source of it is irrelevant. It's the proper message. It's the correct message, and we should always point that out. That if you really stop and think about the differences between capitalism and socialism, you find that when you look at corruption and crony, what they call crony capitalism is actually a misnomer. It ends up being crony socialism because if it involves businesses meddling with government and especially vice versa, you're really talking about crony socialism here, like a corporate welfare. You hear liberals say that all the time, and that this is why we have the walk away movement, and we have Brendan Straka coming on, who invented that hashtag and started the whole thing, founded it, I guess, is because people are starting to realize that the capitalism isn't the problem. It's the cronyism and corruption that comes from governments putting their hand in the free market, and that's where things start to really get off the beaten path, get off the rails, and you have a train wreck.
Yes, and when you have these politicians that decide that they feel that they know better than you do, and they know who should win the elections, we're going to get into that. We got some more just outrageous stuff. Oh, real quick, this was breaking news earlier today when we were doing show prep.
Sorry about that.
Breaking news, Breitbart news. Rick Scott wins the Senate. Nelson does concede. So we got Nelson conceding. And if you saw the first 10-minute clip before the show started, that is a phenomenal thing that the media is doing. If you look at what the media was screaming and yelling about the polls, screaming and yelling about the polls for Trump, screaming and yelling at the polls, what the polls are, trying to tell us what the polls are. And then all of a sudden they realize that the correction has to be made, or we realize the correction has to be made. And so they get it so wrong, and it's not by accident. They get it so wrong because it's by design. I'm not trying to be cynical here, but it's an absolute fact. All the races that they called, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN, all the races and all the polling that they were doing, all Democrats were polling high.
Every time, right? Every time.
And then when it comes down to it, then a Republican wins. And you're like, Brian, how's that by design? Here's why it's by design. Because then you could get people down there in Florida and Broward County to go ahead and flip the vote to match the poll.
Well, it's the whole horse race analogy. I love to point out the idiocy of people, and I'm not saying smart people do this. That's the thing about what frustrates people like me who it sounds like we're being condescending to intelligent people by saying, oh, we're smarter than you because you were unable to figure out that you've been duped. Look, the smartest people in the world have been duped. And sometimes they dupe themselves just because it's human nature. And the horse race analogy goes like this, that somehow subconsciously you feel like a winner if you end up voting for the person that won, in the same way that if you put your $2 bet on the winning horse, you actually get rewarded with cash.
Right.
So instead of... The way it's supposed to work in an election is you're supposed to vote for the person that you really want to win. And you don't – the only reward you get if the person you want to win wins is that whatever reason you had for wanting him to win is going to somehow make your community better or your make America great again or whatever it might be, is somehow going to improve the situation because the person you wanted was elected. But if the person that you wanted does not get elected, you don't lose anything more. You've lost, and so what? But the dumbest thing is when you vote for the person that you think is going to win, regardless of what it is they believe in, because somehow it's going to make you feel psychologically good that somehow you're on the winning team. You know, it's like the Yankees. They're all the way. How many miles away is New York City? Imagine rooting for them and wearing all kinds of Yankee gear when we live in Cincinnati.
Or for those of you wearing Pittsburgh gear, hanging out in Cincinnati.
Yeah, what is that?
No.
What is that?
No, I know. I work with you. I know.
We're talking about you.
Why? Why?
So it's so that when they win, they get to feel like a winner. But here's the thing. The Steelers aren't implementing policy on your life and on your family's life and on America's future. But the people that you're voting for, that you're hoping win so that you can go to work the next day saying, yeah, I'm a winner. No, you're a loser. Because you didn't go out and learn about the people, the communists, the Marxists, or whatever, that you're voting for so that you hope to go and be a winner. And by the way, this is the phenomenon that the leftist fake news media is banking on, which is why they're lying to you about the polls. It's that simple.
Yeah, not only that, but they're pushing their agenda. First female, first black female, first Muslim female, female, first minority. You got to vote. They saw the phenomenon of Barack Obama being elected because it's a historic event. I want to be a part of a historic event.
Well, not only that, but this is so sad. I can't believe I have to say this, but it is what it is. Yeah. There are people out there that because of the color of their skin, if somebody with a matching color of skin wins an office, they get to feel like their team won.
Well, what about our what about our buddy on Fox Business News?
Charles Payne,
who follows us, by the way. Charles Payne follows us.
Charles Z. Payne. So he said a long time ago, I voted for Obama, and this guy is as conservative as they come. This guy obviously knows everything about economies in general and capitalism in particular, and also knows why socialism fails every single time it's tried. And yet he voted for Obama, and I guarantee you that pretty much played the biggest part. Because if it was really all about doing what you know in your heart is right for your country, your local community, your state, your nation, all of the above, you're going to look past the color of skin, the feeling. Check this out. Libertarians actually do this. I'm actually making the argument for third-party people. Third-party people would say, yeah, Carrie, that's why I'm not voting for a Republican, even though I know that the guy I'm voting for is only going to get 2%. And by the way, those 2% is going to be the margin of loss for the Republican.
Right.
Because they want free market,
we see Democrats
liberty.
We see Democrats funding third parties to get Republicans to lose.
Right. So unfortunately, I am making the argument for the libertarians, but I also can counter that argument. But anyway, so libertarians may say, well, Carrie, I'm not voting for the lesser of two evils because I'm not going to feel bad when my guy loses because I knew what I did was right. Well, here's the thing. The argument I make is that there's a lot of common ground between your libertarian candidate and the one that actually has a chance to defeat the Marxists. And by the way, if you're a libertarian that even remotely thinks that your local Democrat or national or state Democrat is a comparable compromise to your libertarian, you don't understand Marxism. You don't understand the totalitarianism of leftist ideology. And so, because if you did, you'd be like, okay, not only am I not voting for any Democrat at this point, but I'm going to forget about the libertarian for the time being, vote for the one that could defeat the Marxists. That's what you'd be doing. And then on top of that, you would start to do what Donald Trump did. Donald Trump made his first serious pump fake, I guess, or head fake into politics by trying to found or be a co-founder of a third party. Yeah. And that was way back in the Ross Perot days. So they looked at the whole Ross Perot thing and said, why don't we create a party out of this? Ross Perot could have won president if he wasn't blackmailed into jumping out when he was in the lead. Do people know this?
You all forgot.
He dropped out of the party while he was in the lead. He was beating George H.W. Bush. He was beating Clinton. He had the lead. It
reminds me of Brewster's Millions. Vote for none of the above.
Yeah. But anyway, so his first pump fake or head fake was into a third party. And do you know why Donald Trump, who all these purists in the conservative movement and Republican Party say, he's not a conservative, he's a Democrat. You know why they say that? Because he's actually kind of a libertarian. He's a constitutional libertarian. And when people who claim to be constitutional libertarians hear me say that, they're like milk spewing out of their nose. They can't believe what they just heard. But you know what? They're not listening. They're not watching. I mean, I'm talking listening to the nuances of what he says and watching the actions of what he actually does. And you'll find out that he actually is more of a libertarian constitutionalist, or vice versa, whatever, constitutional libertarian than any other president we ever had. So what's the moral of the story? If you have a libertarian candidate, because you're all libertarian-minded, you're freedom and liberty-minded, and you think that the Constitution should be as is, and we should have this laissez-faire type of
hands off.
Yeah,
laissez-faire, hands off.
That we should just be able to go about our business and not be meddled in and harassed by government all the time. Then you need to tell your libertarian candidate to get his butt into the Republican Party, at least for now. And that's exactly what Donald Trump did. Donald Trump said, well, my first thought was third party. My second thought was, well, I mean, I'm registered as a Democrat. My family's registered as a Democrat, mainly because I live in New York City, and you can't live here as a big business owner without at least tricking everybody into thinking that you support these Democrats that are breathing down my neck, basically, right? So he decided, no on the third party, because I want to actually have a chance to win. And what does winning mean as a Republican? First and foremost, it means preventing the communists from winning office.
Right. No, absolutely. 100%.
And so that's my argument to all you libertarians out there. But yeah, the horse race analogy, I got way broad on that horse race analogy thing. Don't vote for who you think is going to win so that you could go to work the next day with some pep in your step thinking that you're a winner. You didn't win money like you do at the horse race, okay?
I had a 24-year-old millennial that voted for Sherrod Brown.
Oh, my God, because he was going to win, right?
She said, I researched him, and he was the best one.
Because I saw pictures of him, and he's wearing a blue shirt.
I said, what?
And when he says he's blue collar, and he supports the middle-class worker, he's got to be telling the truth. He literally has a blue collar.
Right.
Literally.
Blue collar. He's not white collar.
So ignorant. You got to learn more about these people, because Sherrod Brown is a full-blown communist.
Right. So, again, real quick, folks, just a little rundown on the show. We're going to have Brandon Straka on here in just a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the things. He got into it this week with Frank Luntz. We'll get into that little bit of conversation.
Brandon did?
Yes.
Oh, wow. We'll have to talk about that.
And again, Brandon is one of the speakers at the American Priorities Conference coming up December 6th, 7th, and 8th. It's down there at the bottom of the screen. Make sure you jump over there.
It's funny. I got to look on the pad over here to see it, because on the screen that I'm looking at, it's just us. It's just us. So anyway,
multi-cameras. And then again, Dr. Jane Ruby will be on at the bottom of the second hour. She is the author, now available on Amazon, A Sea of New Media. There's a link in the description below. That's the first time I get to say. I like saying that.
Yes,
because everybody says that all the time.
That's because they're professional.
Check out the link in the description below.
Oh, yeah.
And so you'll see Jane Ruby's link to her Amazon account for her new book. She will be a speaker as well at the American Priorities Conference.
That I did not know. So she's speaking. Awesome. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a big mover and shaker there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like one of these people that without her, maybe, this thing might not happen.
Oh, yeah. Mike Cernovich with his movie Hoaxed. There'll be a premiere there at, viewing, if you will. It's already been premiered, but it'll be viewing there for the first time for a lot of people. American Priorities Conference. Mike Cernovich is going to be there for Q&A, going to be hanging out.
Stefan Molyneux.
Stefan
my
Molyneux.
Gosh. He's the one. Now, I met him in St. Louis, and it's as you see him on YouTube. And I'm talking conversation, everything. It's just like you're watching him on YouTube. It's so awesome. It's like
just hanging out.
Yeah. And even though I met him, I'm still extremely excited to see him in D.C. December 6th through 8th again, because he is my favorite.
Well, not only that, but he's your doppelganger, according to Antifa.
Oh, that's right. So should we get into that?
Just real quick.
Real
fast.
So we had Antifa in St. Louis, and that was where Stefan Molyneux was, and apparently Antifa knew that Stefan Molyneux was there. And they were low energy, and we were totally dominating them, and we were abusing them intellectually.
High levels of soy. It was just in the air.
Soy, and also an extreme lack of IQ.
No, yeah,
probably, yeah. And a lot of BO, I think, but
yeah. So they referred to Kerry as who the guy, Stefan Mullen.
No, the guy came up to me and asked me a loaded question. It was it had a false premise. It assumed that I believed something, and so I'm listening to this guy confronting me and he didn't really get in my face, but he came up to me and he asked me this question with the premise that I believed in a certain premise. And so I had to stop him and I said, "What makes you think that I believe that? Aren't you Stefan Molyneux?"
His buddy came up over his shoulder and said, "Oh man, that's Stefan Molyneux right there." We both looked at him and was like, "Oh jeez." Okay, so real quick, Brandon Straka is going to be on in just a few minutes. We're going to talk about the 2018 election. Obviously, there's a lot of breaking news, a lot of information that came out this week. James O'Keefe has another video out. We've got big updates with the rental car company. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Ballots found in a rental car.
Okay.
Bridget Gabriel goes after the anti-Semites that have been elected to Congress.
Oh, man.
We'll talk about the Cali fires real quick. And the new AG in the House, Attorney General, temporary Attorney General. We'll explain that a little bit and what's going on with that.
Intern or something, or interim? Or something like that.
Yep. And Trump doing a lot of tweets out. And Trump tweeted out today about Adam Schiff.
Oh, yeah. That one you might not be able to repeat verbatim.
Adam Schitt.
We cannot repeat. We cannot read that tweet.
How close is the T to the F?
Let me find that out real quick. Let's see here. So if we were going, okay, the T is there.
Oh, it's right next to it.
Yeah. They're actually touching. The T and the F touch.
He's got big hands, and you shook his hand. It's like sausages.
It's like hot dogs. Yeah. Queen City sausages.
Queen City sausages.
Oh, my goodness.
And then we're going to talk about the crazy Democrats going after the 2A, the Second Amendment, and looking to nuke American citizens. Kerry got involved with that, with Scott Adams Says and Joe Biggs.
That's definitely something I can speak very intelligently on. And also they were attacking the First Amendment, liberals were this week. Really bad.
Jack Posobiec, good friend of the show. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you know he's been on a few times. But Jack will be at American Priorities Conference as well.
Right.
That'll be exciting. And the Jim Acosta fake news, I got a couple of stuff, little videos on that are kind of funny and make fun of him. And again, folks, communism is alive and well. Breitbart put up an article today about Jonestown massacre. This is the 40th anniversary. 40 years ago, for those of you youngins that don't remember, I only remember because my parents talked about it for a long time afterwards, and there were documentaries made about it. So I kind of heard about it when I was 10, 11, 12. But 40th anniversary of Jim Jones' revolutionary suicide for communism. Jim Jones went down to South America and had everybody drinking all the Kool-Aid, and everybody died.
Yeah.
Everybody with his son. They did a documentary with his son who was able to escape and get away. Folks, this is the kind of stuff that left unchecked. That's how this. Can you imagine if Jim Jones was running for office and Democrats were like, "Yeah, get that guy, man. He's a good implementer of policy."
Yeah.
I mean, what are we talking about? We're talking mind control,
right? And I just you gotta know who the people are that you're voting for, and really. I mean, they're local. You can go up and meet these people and talk to them face to face. Steve Shabbat, who just won his, I don't know, he's been running for a long time and everybody loves him here on the west side of Cincinnati. And he won again. But I can go and talk to him face to face just about anywhere. I just find out where he is going to do like a little speech or just some sort of a gathering. It doesn't have to be a fundraiser where I have to pay to go or anything like that. And we just talk face to face. You need to do that with your people so that you know where these people really stand and get them to look you in the eye and pledge that they're not going to implement Sharia law.
Right. No, absolutely. And again, over here in Green Township on the west side of Cincinnati, we were able to have a Q&A session with him, and just a good old boy. I'm tired of these slick talking, fast talking. I mean,
like AFTAB.
Oh,
but he lost, so we can move on from him.
Yeah, definitely. But we got to be prepared because AFTAB is not going away. Folks.
No, he's young. He's young. He's going to come back with a vengeance, and that's going to be something we're going to have to.
Ocasio-Cortez, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
She's going to be around until we're dead.
She's only, what, 26?
Yeah, very young.
She's just old enough. Like, this is her first year she's allowed to even run for Congress.
Right, and
she's too young to run for the Senate.
Probably, and she's
she is. She's too young to run for president.
Right. So here's the problem with her. She is an elected official in a district where no Republican will win for a while. There has to be a major shift in the political landscape for a Republican to win the spot where she's her incumbency. Right. They're going to vote for a Democrat. So as long as she doesn't step down, she's going to be there indefinitely. And so we might be looking at another, at least 30, 40 years of her.
And, and the sad thing is, too, is that Barack Obama is still so young.
I should say 40 to 50 years. If she's only 28, probably 40 to 50 years of her.
26.
Okay, so 40 to 50 years of her. Maybe even 60. We might have 60 years of her.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm telling you, we're going to be long dead.
Mad Maxine's 85.
Yeah. So we'll have 60
25,
years
35,
60. 60. 60.
Yeah, you're right. The math.
60
I
years.
gotta use my fingers.
Yeah, I can do it. And the noodle just, the gears start grinding.
But something that Donald Trump tweeted out earlier this week said people are not being told that the Republican Party is on track to pick up 2 seats in the Senate. An epic victory, 53 to 47. The fake news media only wants to speak of the House where the midterm results were better than the other. Yep. But folks, you got to understand. The judgeships are what's to come up. Thank you, Flake. Bye, Jeff Flake. Bye.
Yeah. It's very important to have the Senate because, for the longest time, Brian and I, we look pretty young, but we got a little bit of years behind us. And so we can tell you from firsthand experience what it's like to be following politics when your party has absolutely no chance of getting anything done in the Senate because it's always been so heavily Democrat, right? And so now this is going to be kind of interesting when it comes to if a SCOTUS appointment comes up again. Some people are saying that Trump may get one more and that's it. If he gets reelected in 2020, I would say minimum of 2 more. Minimum.
Now, you guys know how much I respect Bill Still. Bill Still is on YouTube. Check him out. He's got some great insight, great videos. The last video he did, he caught some dates mixed up. But other than that, he's usually really on par.
For a citizen journalist, I think he's very professional.
Yes. And his sources tell him, I got the screen, folks. Sorry. I don't know what's going on. But
did it lock up?
Yeah.
I hate that.
But here's the thing. He's saying sources reporting to him. He's finding sources, and they're telling him that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, God rest her soul. I mean, just God help her, give her some strength. And
did you say God rest her soul?
Yeah, let it rest and ease. Like take a nap.
It's too soon.
Comfort. Oh, I didn't mean like that. No,
you said God rest her soul.
maybe
one day.
I meant to say God bless her soul.
Oh, okay.
God bless her soul.
Maybe you did say that, and my ears just heard.
You heard the resting in peace. No. But here's the thing. He's reporting. He's saying there's sources there that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I know we're joking around about it, but it's that she may have had in the past. She had some melanoma, skin cancer. And that it's come back. And that's one cancer that can come back very easily, apparently. And so she has told the Democrats that she has to step down. And apparently, rumor has it that RGB will be stepping down in January.
Wow. Okay.
We'll see if it happens. I don't know, folks. I'm just reporting on Bill Still. And Bill Still's credible.
My grandmother, I thought, lived a very, very, very long life. I thought she seemed like, she was at that age when she died, that's probably about when people die. She was 86.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And
So the thing about Ruth Bader Ginsburg is, Mother Nature doesn't mess around. Somebody tweeted something, and now that we're talking about this, and I didn't think I would get a chance to bring it up during the show, so I'm sorry I didn't save the tweet so that you guys could see it or even know who wrote it. But it was fascinating if you're into numbers and statistics. The Democrats are talking about how Bernie Sanders should run again in 2020.
I don't understand that. I really
Well, they
don't.
said either him or Biden, and both of them are very old. Biden looks a lot younger than he is, but somebody pointed out, because they're already writing off Biden and saying, let's go with Bernie Sanders. And somebody pointed out that statistically, if you understand vital statistics, Bernie Sanders has a 10% chance of dying before 2020, and like a 30% chance of dying before 2024, and a 47% chance of dying before 2028.
Wow.
Which would be, if he were to do an 8-year term, he would go until 2028, right? And that's about a 50-50 chance of him even surviving to that date. And we're just saying vital statistics. I mean, he could die of anything up to that point, and he actually has a 47% chance of it happening. And it's just Mother Nature. And so we're in this new era where, back when Ronald Reagan ran and everybody's like, oh man, I don't know if he's going to be able to be president. He's so old. And yet I think, isn't Donald Trump older than what?
72.
But he was older when he took office than Ronald Reagan was when he took office.
For the first time, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so that being said, now Donald Trump is the oldest president ever. But we're living in this new era where it was like, what, 85, 95, 100? You want to run for president? Let's make this happen. And yeah, it's like, wow, I don't know. I mean, we're really dancing. Well, first of all, I don't know. I can't speak from experience because I'm half that age, but are your faculties there at a certain point where are you going to be able to make decisions? We know that Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Nancy Pelosi are definitely much less intellectually sound than they were maybe 10, 20 years ago.
I have a video of somebody with a cell phone walking the halls with Mad Maxine.
Okay, Maxine Waters.
It will shock you the lack of control that she has over her faculties.
Oh, gosh. Well, and part of it isn't as much age as it is the brain trauma you get from learning and believing in and buying into the liberal ideology, coupled with the fact that, I don't know, it just makes you go insane. Oh, Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah, once you catch that, you're definitely going to suffer intellectually.
Well, and if you already are suffering from liberalism, it is very easy to catch TDS, without a doubt.
Right.
If you could check your Telegram.
Oh, Telegram, okay.
Take that link and text it to Brandon.
Oh, gotcha. Sure thing.
Apparently, I sent him the link to the Vimeo, to the Zoom that just, I don't know.
We'll get it. We'll get it. I'll get it.
Coolio. Anyways, folks, so as we do our part, if you will, to help save America, do our part to get the word out. This is the new news media. This is something that Dr. Jane Ruby wrote in her book. She wrote about. This is the new news media that is getting out there. Technology has made it so to where if you have talent of sorts, you can actually start doing this. And when I say talent, you don't just start practicing. People just get out and do it. I mean,
well, there
you
find
go.
It? Oh.
I guess so. So while we were,
I didn't even text it yet. It's like it's amazing.
I know that Brandon. He's amazing. I'm just saying.
It was he read my brainwaves coming off of me, I guess, and was able to figure out what number to call in or whatever.
All right, folks, real quick, I'm going to play a really short video of kind of intro, if you will, to Brandon. And here's one of the latest videos that Brandon has up on his Twitter account. So if you want to check it out, you can see it. And then we'll have him on right after this, about a minute and a half long.
You would think that my next guest might be the perfect demographic for the Democrats. He's young, single, gay. He lives in New York City. He's a hairstylist and aspiring actor. And He's always been liberal.
Are you telling us on this show tonight that you are no longer a liberal?
As I sit here before you tonight, I am a registered Republican who loves Donald Trump.
I love it. Okay, now you gave me chills. Okay.
She is the future, according to the Democratic National Committee chairman.
Well, I think what they don't understand is that their party has no future.
Are you saying you found that the media is a little dishonest sometimes with conservatives?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I found that they're a lot dishonest.
Okay.
I thought that CNN told the truth. I thought MSNBC told the truth. I thought Rachel Maddow told the truth.
Really after this election of Donald Trump that so clearly revealed to me how dishonest the media was capable of being. I mean, that was the first step in my transition. You know, it's a testimonial campaign. People are creating their videos. They're writing down their testimonials, talking about why they're fed up. They're manipulating minority groups. They're manipulating African Americans, gay people. And I wanted to speak out and do something about it. So I started something called the Walkaway Campaign.
What is your mission ultimately?
Ultimately, particularly for minorities in America, racial minorities, LGBT people, I want them to become aware that the Democrat Party doesn't actually support them. They're actually using them, and they're actually manipulating their fears and concerns to get them to vote the way they want them to vote and behave the way they want them to behave.
All right.
I want to empower these people.
And with that, we have welcome to the show once again, Brandon Straka.
Uh-oh. We got to lock up.
Got to lock. Hold on a second. So as we wait,
as soon as he brought the screen up, it just went.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I got all kinds of stuff open. That's probably why. But we have Brandon on, and as soon as we can get the audio
totally
connect.
Lock up?
Yeah, I got the waves.
Oh.
Swirly thing.
Oh, did the whole thing just jack up?
Yeah.
Oh, we got something. Something's going on. Oh, he's calling
there
back
he
in.
is. Okay, yeah, we got it now.
That was a little scary.
Yeah, that was real scary. I was a bit nervous. We have Brandon on. How you doing, Brandon? Good to see you, buddy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
It was like literally at the exact moment you were introducing me, you completely froze, and then I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, somehow he went max with the video, and it just instantly froze. But we're good now, so awesome. Good. So Brandon Straka, we can follow you at US Minority on Twitter. Make sure you guys are doing that, and you have a pretty big following on Facebook too, don't you?
Yeah, well, my following on all platforms gets a little smaller every day. So,
oh gosh, that's not good.
Twitter, like I was just like, it was just going up and up up and up, and then like every day I started checking in, and there were like hundreds of followers gone. Like whatever.
That's actually been happening to us too, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating. So, so you are the founder of the Walkaway movement. It started as a hashtag. Actually, I think it started as just a video that you uploaded to Facebook, and you saw we actually played that the last time you were on with us, and of course that was the thing that went viral. My sister was the one that actually got me hip to the video and said, "You got to watch this, Carrie. You got to watch this." And so I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And then she kept on reporting in on me on how more and more people were joining that Facebook group and everything like that. And then that culminated into the Walkaway March, which I thought was awesome. And now we have an American Priorities Conference, and you are going to be speaking at that. So what are your thoughts on the American priorities, your priorities for America?
Well, I'm just kind of, stoked about the prospect of getting up and saying a few words, and I've got to put some thought into what it is exactly I want to talk about. Because there's a few, they asked me, do you want to come and talk about Walkaway and this and that? And of course, I do want to talk about that. But I think there's a lot of stuff that, there's a lot of things that need to be discussed. And I think I'd like to certainly throw my 2 cents in on censorship and social media. Well, here we go. The effect that social media has on conservatives. And, there's a lot of things I think that I could put my voice out there for. So,
well, it'll be really interesting for everybody, because we're going to have all these breakout sessions. If anybody is already familiar with kind of the setup of your CPAC type conference, where they have these breakout sessions where you can learn all these different things that we do to push our political message, we're going to be doing that. And so a lot of what you just summarized in a speech is going to be what we're going to be talking about in each of these breakout sessions. So we're going to have like these experts from all over the MAGA movement that are going to be teaching whoever comes in to learn it all the little tricks of the trade that they have learned, and I think it'll be great. And
I love it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So I wanted to ask you about what is your take on the midterms? Because really it seemed like the walkaway march and the movement and everything seemed to be kind of focusing more and more and more on trying to get a red wave. So what are your thoughts on everything?
Okay, well, good. I'm glad you said that. Okay, I want to go on record now. I mean, I have actually this whole time. This is a question I got asked all the time. Are we going to get a red wave? I literally never once have ever gone on record saying that we're going to have a red wave, because I never thought we would. Like I thought, and this goes for both sides, by the way. I thought the idea of a blue wave was preposterous, and I think the idea of a red wave was unrealistic.
I mean, we wanted. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was wishful thinking. I wanted it. Yep. I wanted to believe it.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted it, but it's one of them things.
Yeah. My opinion is that the midterms, I think that we were incredibly successful. I think that anybody in the MAGA movement and people on the right, and here's why. There was a record number of voter turnout for a midterm election, and the coverage on this president is 90% negative, and I think that's actually a conservative estimate. I think this should have been for all intents and purposes, a complete bloodbath for the Republicans.
Right.
I mean, this should have been, we should have gotten slaughtered. And we didn't. We actually saw, gains in the Senate, and we lost some seats in the House. But it's, if you look comparatively to, I have a chart here somewhere because I was using it. I got into a little Twitter war with Frank Luntz.
Yeah, I know. I got that in the show notes.
Yeah. So this is one thing I hate about Twitter is like when you're trying to make a compelling argument, you only have like 5 words you can write to make a compelling argument. So I was trying to make my point through like a really effective meme, and I found kind of like a chart that goes back to like 1960 or something. And it shows that for all the different midterms that have happened throughout the course of decades, this result was actually one of the most, for an incumbent president, one of the most successful. I mean, Barack Obama lost like 69 House seats.
Oh, yeah, they had a 2010, 2012. He took a hosing on both of them.
Yeah, and same with Bill Clinton, and Ronald Reagan didn't do as well.
Right.
I mean, also, as I said in my tweet when I was talking to Frank Luntz, Democrats, this isn't like any other presidency or administration or any other election year period, because we're now living in a world. The reality is that we're living in a world where about half the population is experiencing a very unique interpretation of reality that the rest of us are not.
That's true.
We are living in a world now where about half of the population believes that we are living in Nazi Germany and that
it's true.
We need to be, hiding in the attic with Anne Frank and all this stuff. And
you got these kids that are welcoming socialism.
Yes. And yet we still gained in the Senate.
Right.
I mean, so essentially what just happened, and if you were a Democrat, is that it would be as if Adolf Hitler were in office, and yet even halfway into his term, people were like, I still like what he's doing.
Right.
So I think I think it was a total success, considering that the representation of this president is just completely backwards and terrible.
No, I agree with you 100%. Even Donald Trump had to tweet out, hey, this was successful. This was not bad. Look at what we're doing in the Senate. And just before we brought you on, we were talking about that. And there's rumor floating around that Ruth Bader Ginsburg may be stepping down sooner than she expected. I'm shocked she's still holding on, but go enjoy your grandchildren, your great grandchildren. Kind of go enjoy life and walk away. But you're gonna have Trump. He's gonna appoint then. And this, you think, if anybody thinks that Kavanaugh ordeal was a nightmare, if you think that was bad, You wait till Ruth Bader Ginsburg gets replaced with a staunch constitutional conservative.
Oh my God!
You're gonna have people on fire.
Yeah, that's gonna be rough. But we have it with more representation in the Senate. It may go smoother. I know there's gonna be people screaming fire in a crowded theater on the left, but they have less power to actually do. If you look at the Kavanaugh thing, they just needed to get 2 Republicans to kind of come over, and you even had Flake talking about how we better wait a week and all this kind of stuff, and of course Collins. Outside of that speech, if you pay attention to her, she's pretty much a Democrat.
Right.
Outside of that speech.
Yeah, for the most part.
But so the walkaway movement, where does that go from here? With it being focused so much on 2018, we have 2 whole years coming. Right. One thing, actually, before we move on to where we go from there, I wanted you to address. I didn't look up these statistics myself personally, so I don't know how accurate they are. But the percentage of black vote with regards to what percentage went Democrat and what percentage went Republican between 2016 and 2018 seemed almost completely unchanged.
Well, that's the thing that you got into Frank Luntz with. Here, scroll to the top of the notes.
Okay, I'm at the top. There we go.
I still want to address it though, and I want to hear your question.
And then the other one was the percentage of young voters. Now, I think it was Magdalene Rose who we had on a couple weeks ago, maybe even the week right before the walkaway march. We had her on, and she pointed out that the young votes didn't change, but I think that could be a total different explanation. But what are your take on those 2 stats, if they're accurate?
Well, I'm sure that they probably are pretty accurate, I would assume. A couple of things. The first thing I would point out is that, again, this was a record high voter turnout. Mm-hmm. And the way that I interpret that is that many, many more Democrats came. I mean, Republicans come out and vote, and they do vote in midterms. I mean, that's always been a thing. Right. Democrats statistically don't nearly as much, but this time I think that they did, and I do think that there were a lot of people who aren't even used to voting and came out and voted Democrat because they've spent 3 years now listening to the media tell them that we live in Nazi Germany.
Well, and they made it a resist Trump type of message, like get out there, vote straight Democrat ticket because this is how you resist Trump, and they convinced them of that.
And so, I don't know if I said this on the past show that when I was working at the poll, there was a crazed lunatic woman, kind of like that one actress that was scoping herself in the car. I forget her name.
Juliette Lewis.
Yeah,
Juliette
went. She went absolutely. I got it.
I didn't even see that.
She went berserko.
It's really good.
This woman shows up at the poll. I'm voting Trump out, and I just looked. I was like, okay, do what you got to do.
Yeah. Okay. So, but okay. Let's go back to the youth vote.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a total failure of the Republicans. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Like, that's what it is. The Democrats hang outside of schools like pedophiles,
like they're hanging out with Harvey Weinstein,
trying to lure kids into their vans.
God. It's true.
With their voter registration,
right?
And Republicans do nothing. And listen, Walkaway is not even 6 months old yet. And I think that we've done incredible things. I mean, we have on the original Facebook group, we have about 215,000. We have thousands and thousands of testimonials. And it's irrefutable that people are walking away. I mean, we have the testimonials. That really is happening. However, we have a lot more that we have to do. I personally, I'm the type of person that I want to know, even if it's a colossal, what do I want to say? If it's, if we get punched in the gut, okay, great. Now we're punched in the gut. We know, now I'm going to wake up the next day and be like, what are we going to do to do better in 2019 and to do better in 2020? I'll tell you something, and I try not to talk about this too much because I try to keep things positive, and I don't want to come across in my interviews as bitter.
Right.
But we threw a significant event, a walkaway march on Washington. We spent an outrageous amount of money putting this event on. We got almost no media attention whatsoever, even on the right.
It took Trump to tweet you out. Trump tweeted you out, and Trump tweeted out the event.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. And even still, no one even followed up with us.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been asked on television to talk about the walkaway march on Washington. I mean, before or after. And
I think Owen Stroyer was the only one that was scoping for InfoWars, I believe, at the time. He was the only one I saw. There was actually a couple of media cameras in the back, but I don't know if that was just local or what it was. Right. But we were there. We were there.
I scoped it, and we got you on. We got you on now.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh yeah. No, and and there were podcasters and things like that. But what I'm saying is that, I mean, on a national level, and I mean, especially considering that there is a station that I've done a lot of television with, before, they were much more interested in talking about Kavanaugh and caravans and things like that. And I just was like, this is something that really has the potential to open people's eyes and sway the way they might vote if they thought, wow, something's happening in this country. People are waking up, they're walking away. I want to find out more about that. That was the whole point of this March on Washington.
Yeah.
At this point, I have to just hope that over the next 2 years, people kind of find it on social media so that they can go back in retrospect and watch the speeches and watch, because it was really incredible.
Now, just to comfort you a little bit, I just want to let you know, and this is from my mother. I didn't know much about this, but my mother went 2 or 3 times to the March for Life.
Oh, okay.
In Washington, D.C. every single year. In the bitter cold snow and rain, January, February, whenever it happens, tens of thousands of men and women marching for life march on Washington, and zero media coverage, and they've been doing this forever.
Yeah, we had no idea. I had no idea they had.
Right.
But my mom goes to this thing twice, and I had no idea she even went.
That's right. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, and this is what it really is frustrating, because even as I was reaching out to media entities before the event and saying, like, look, please have me on. This is important. I'm telling you, like, this could be a big deal. I was kind of getting nowhere with it, but, I was watching liberal media, CNN, and some local liberal kind of news shows, and they have Linda Sarsour on all the time. Talking about the Women's March of 2019. It's in January, February of 2019. They had her on 4 or 5 months ago. For more information about the Women's March, go to blah, blah. I mean, and I'm like, come on, guys. Like,
so biased.
Come on.
Completely biased. Well, real quick, I wanted to see if you could address, I guess, did you want me to have him address? So the Frank Luntz things, there's 2 notes here that I guess, because I didn't see the drama between you and Frank on Twitter. So the 2 things are...
Brandon tweet. Read Brandon's tweet.
So you said questionable Republican fickle Trump supporter Frank Luntz joins the leftist peanut gallery and pushes the tired and debunked walkaway as fake accounts narrative, while 20% of his followers are fake accounts. So you're basically accusing him of having 20%.
But he posted up, Brandon posted a picture of that one website that will analyze your
Twitter
account.
Audit.
Yeah.
Twitter audit. Okay.
And
so I audited his account after he... so he blasted out some, but totally unprovoked. Right. I've never had a conversation with this man. You know how it is when you're checking your notifications and all of a sudden you see someone talking about you and other people talking about you, and I'm like, what's going on?
What happened?
So I looked at his page, and sure enough, he's talking smack about walkaway and saying that it made absolutely no difference. It's fake news. And then he continued the kind of Russian bot narrative.
Oh, gosh.
Or the fake account, whatever. So I was like,
But
oh, really?
So
I just got on Twitter audit, and I audited his account. 20% fake followers.
What
20%.
What percent did he accuse you of having fake accounts?
Like 100. I mean, he didn't put a number on it. He just said it's fake news and this is a fake movement.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Well, and then he also says Brandon Straka says he has received an uptick in the number of people who say they're walking away from the Democrat Party to vote for Republicans on December 6th. Then what happened on November 6th, Brandon? Well, you already kind of answered that already.
I did.
Here. So yeah, I mean, we know it's because Republicans need to do more. And we knew this for a long time, all the way back in 2016, because I actually was a volunteer for the Trump campaign. So I saw this firsthand. But are you noticing, or have you already noticed, that there is a big difference between the MAGA movement and the Republican Party?
I God, I love, like, before you even asked that question, I was literally going to just say what you just said in the form of a statement. What I was just about to say is that what I am learning, and we'll see, listen, I'm going to keep an open mind and we'll see what happens in the next 2 years. But I'm even hearing, okay, somebody actually reached out to me today and said, this is a person who's sort of connected to the administration. So, I mean, it's a rumor. I'm looking at it as a rumor, but I'm also going to keep my ear on it. He said, he was like, listen, the Republican Party ran a background check on you and you didn't pass their background check. That's why you haven't heard from them. And I was like, really?
Hold on. Okay. To run a background check on somebody, don't you have to give permission for that? Or I mean, the government.
I don't know.
I mean, I think it's like a you know, they're like a character.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
Because what he said to me was that he said that you in the past you've apparently you've made some really like negative comments about Trump, and they saw that. And I was like, of course I made negative comments about Trump. I used to hate him. Like that's part of my story.
That was the whole point.
I used to hate the president. I love the president. And there was a transition in between.
That's called walk away.
Yeah, I'm not going to go back and delete those comments. Like that's like an archive of how I've changed.
Right.
You know? Anyway, what I told him, because he was trying to make a big deal about it and be like, you know, this is what you should do and this is what you do. I said, listen, I'm not going to change anything I'm doing. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. My following is growing. My movement is growing. And if they don't want to get involved, then there's going to end up being this colossal split between MAGA and the party.
It already was there.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, but let's have it their way. They can have it their way. But the fact of the matter is the same people who are supporting me are the people who support the president. They don't, and they don't support the swamp. And so, I mean, yeah, there is a big difference.
Yeah.
And I think I'm discovering more and more every day that there's a difference between MAGA.
And no, absolutely, and I've seen different levels of it as well. Whether it be with the old establishment GOP, the Lindsey Grahams, the John McCain's, God rest his soul.
The Ohio GOP tried a coup on Donald Trump 30 days before his general election.
Right. The Ohio GOP literally went to a coup d'etat.
Yeah.
Before Trump's election,
they were literally trying to get to have his name pulled from the ballot.
Yeah, I remember.
Unbelievable.
I remember.
So you understand it. We all understand it. And here's a great segue. The American Priorities Conference is focused almost specifically and exclusively on the MAGA movement. These are right-wingers, you can call them or whatever. These are right-leaning people, people who have walked away, who specifically like the pragmatic leadership of Donald Trump. And it's called American Priorities. It's prioritizing America, making America great again. And by the way, people, the globalists who are worried about the rest of the world, we understand that if we make America great again, we're going to make the world great. And so that's what the whole point of the American Priorities Conference is that this is the MAGA movement.
Right. The whole rising tides raises all ships.
Right.
Analysis absolutely works. And the stronger we become as a country, the more focused we become and the more of an example we become for all these other desperate countries that are going the way of socialism, that are falling apart, they can clearly see, oh, well, America's got this thing right.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree with you completely.
All right.
And I think, I think that's I'm going to put a little more thought into what you just said, because I think that there's a way that we can even rebrand MAGA a little bit going into the next couple of years. So that is because part of what's turning people off on the left is that they hate Trump. They just hate, like they can't move past it. But I mean, I think if people came to understand first, and let me be clear again, I love Trump. Okay. I love Trump.
Oh yeah.
But for those on the left who don't and maybe just never will, maybe there's a way that we can still rebrand MAGA so they can understand you can be a part of the MAGA movement and maybe not love the president. Maybe you don't love what he tweets. Maybe you don't love what he says. But it's it's a movement about individual liberty. It's about putting putting the values of the American people first, just like you said. And then we can help. It doesn't mean we don't care about the rest of the world.
Right.
But it's, and it's about empowering the individual. I mean, that's what I think it's really about. Getting people to stop seeing themselves as victims, getting people back to work, getting our country flourishing, having strong and secure borders. These are things that are bipartisan. We can all agree on these things,
right.
That's what I think.
No, absolutely. Another incident that I had when I was at the poll, had a young lady and what looked like her girlfriend with her walked up, and I was handing to everybody. I was being bold. I had my MAGA hat on. I had my Trump shirt on, and I was handing out the Republican pinks with all the Republicans that were running. And I went to hand it to her. The guy, it turned out to be man. But he yelled at me, or a boy. He yelled at me and said, I'm tranny. I'm transgender.
Well, what's that have anything to do with anything?
And I looked at him and I said, I respect that. So is my husband. Oh, the look on the face was just priceless. But here's the thing. He's got this false premise.
Yeah, a belief.
False belief that white Christian men
with a beard
have some kind of deep-rooted hate for somebody who's...
We're not automatically bigots.
No, I'm not a bigot, but I definitely believe that there are some individuals that have some things that they need to get counseling for. That's just me personally. However, it's not me to tell you to do that.
Yeah, you just wanted him to vote, or her, or it, to vote red.
Shit, don't say that.
Oh, I don't. If it's not him or her, what do we say? Shim? I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't want to offend anybody. If it's not it, I won't say it. But
okay, but I do have a question. How did you vote with your Trump hat and Trump shirt? I thought you weren't legally allowed to do that.
I walked in with my T-shirt and my hat. I walked in the polling station.
Because there was a ruling on that. There was a ruling on that they can't violate the First Amendment, because it used to be you couldn't do that, and they could tell you to get out or to turn your shirt inside out or to go home and get a new shirt. Somebody sued. They went to court, and it was ruled that they can't violate your First Amendment as long as you're not disruptive. And from then on, everybody was ordered, I believe, everybody at these polling places, the workers, were told not to bother people.
Somebody I work with said that their son was turned away and told to turn his shirt inside out. However, I walked in there large and in charge and bold.
They were scared to say anything to you.
Well, I mean, look at the beard, man. I mean, come on. What you going to tell that guy?
You look like you just stepped off a Harley. I'm telling you.
Yeah, he's like, oh man, that's one of those gun-toting MAGA Trump voters.
Boy. So anyway, and if we have the right to bear arms, should we be able to come with a shoulder-strapped rifle into the polling place? It's kind of interesting.
Oh my God.
It's kind of an interesting thought experiment we got going on there. So anyway, so you're coming to the American Priorities Conference. We need to have everybody that's listening right now to go to AmericanPriorities.com. It's AmericanPriorities.com, and go ahead and order up your tickets. Get on the website to order your plane tickets. Get in here. See Brandon Straka. He's fired up to meet you and to speak to you, and all the other awesome guests we got. It's gonna be like a collection of the who's who of MAGA leadership that we all follow. We all follow these people.
Now, are you going to be there tentatively 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 7? Are you? What is your plans?
Yeah, the dates.
Yeah, are you planning to be there all three?
For all the dates. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Awesome.
Wow.
So come all the days.
Well, not only that, folks, but there's going to be an after party. There's going to be a get together.
Yeah.
I know that you've been clean and sober for a long time now. But
awesome.
And I absolutely applaud that 100%.
Thank you.
Are you?
I'm still the life of the party.
Yeah, I was going to say,
absolutely.
I'm totally the life of the party.
No, I'll get you a pineapple. Virgin pineapple.
That was called a Shirley Temple.
Shirley Temple. Okay. See, I don't know these things.
Well, yeah.
All right. So, all right. Make sure we're following Brandon Straka at US Minority on Twitter. Go to Facebook and find him there if you haven't been purged yet. And we will see all of you guys December 6th through 8th with Brandon Straka and everybody else.
Any last words?
Cool.
Any last words?
Oh, no.
See you there.
Good to see. Check out Brandon on Twitter at 8 p.m. You're going to be back on again talking with somebody else tonight?
Yeah, where you going to be?
Thank you. I really should have said that. Yeah, so I have my own shows called Walk Away with Brandon Struck, and we used to do Monday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern. We're tentatively trying a new day and time, which is Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, that's perfect because you and I, us,
Smyth Radio ends at 8 o'clock.
That's perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so listen, audience, the second you get done with these guys, switch over to @US Minority. That's on Twitter and Facebook at US Minority, or you can go to youtube.com/US Minority.
And
subscribe.
Yeah.
And follow.
Yep, and I'll put the handle up at the end of the show to remind you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandon, and we will see you next time.
Right.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks.
Good talking. Bye-bye.
Wow, man, that was awesome. Man.
I'm telling you, know what? We got great chemistry with Brandon, and that's why we have such an exciting interview. It's just great. We love having him on.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah. Anytime you're a cool guy, we're going to have great chemistry on
We
here.
were kind of stepping on the line there with the...
Well, I don't know.
Terminology.
Yeah. Well, it's the pronouns. You got to be careful with gender pronouns.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. I'm not a grammar Nazi or anything, but...
No, but there's like a him, a shim, a she, a show.
Yeah, well, the thing is it's hard
do,
for
re, mi,
people.
fa, sol, la, ti, do.
It's hard for people like me who are so used to either him or her that if it's neither him or her, my brain defaults to it. But I understand what he means by not saying it, because that would be depersonalizing or dehumanizing. But,
yeah, and you can only do that to Alex Jones.
Oh, right. Why, is he okay with that? To dehumanize him?
No, they unpersoned him, so you can do whatever you can do whatever you want to him now.
I forgot. Yeah, 1984 all over again, right?
Yeah, without a doubt, folks, without a doubt.
Sounds like they're going down that road with Brandon. He said he's losing all of his followers and stuff. It'll just be a matter of time that if he doesn't win the battle, he will be unpersoned by the internet. But in the meantime, you guys make sure you follow him and watch his show at 8. So,
okay.
All right. What's up?
So Magdalene Rose, who will be on our show next week.
Cool.
That's a fact check. Magdalene Rose, who'll be on our show next week. She was awesome. We had her on a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Just a very awesome, in-your-face,
I'll tell you what,
millennial.
I'll tell you what I think is fascinating by her. She has the sweetest speech dialect, just the way she talks, really high voice and very... But remember at the walk away? She got on that microphone. She doesn't mess around. But also, it's the content of what she says in her videos. She has like these 2-minute videos, which is great. Limited to 2 minutes, and she gets the point across. But the thing is the content of her videos, she does not dare pull any punches.
No.
Which is so, there's this, I'll use your favorite word, juxtaposition of the sweetness of the delivery with the spice and the sharpness of the content of what she's saying. It's just awesome.
So she put out a video this week saying, it was real quick. It was like 8 seconds long and said, why do you think that the Republicans lost the House? Please comment below, and I'm going to make a video about the real answer, or what answer I think it is. And so this was her 2 minute and 8 second response to why the Republicans lost the House in 2018. Here's Magdalene Rose.
So we lost the youth vote, 67 to 32%. You know what I was thinking about? Remember when I said that was going to happen like 7 months ago, and everyone was like, you're a traitor, you're a plant, you hate conservatives, you're a jealous girl, got that a lot. So like, are we done with that now? Because we lost the youth vote 67 to 32%. And we underperformed with every other major category except 65 and over, of which we only overperformed by 2 points. 2. I know we're like, oh, polls are evil, but get this. My generation is going to be the generation, first of all, that will give this country over to socialism and possibly Sharia law. And my generation in the conservative movement can't even address these topics and do what they call an autopsy, like they did after 2012 Mitt Romney, because young conservative leaders who are really young conservative failures won't allow these issues to be discussed because then they'd have to be held accountable to people like the president, people like Don Jr., people like the RNC. So we can't even actually have a free exchange of ideas about how to fix this issue. And young conservatives who are not these failed leaders can't talk to the YouTubing community, which is responsible for the red pilling of hundreds of thousands, if not a million young people, because one of the young conservative leaders is loathed by the YouTube community for being a nutbag. So guess what? Not only will we lose the presidency, my generation will be the generation to vote in socialism, Sharia law, let's see what else, just general evil, eventually communism, and we'll probably have to fight an actual bloody revolution just to get back to a little bit of bias in the media, just that. So the next time I tweet about, hey, how we're going to lose the youth vote or how we're going to lose the country, maybe don't call me a jealous little traitor. Maybe say, why is that? Oh, and guess what? I'll tell you why that is. Because we have no leadership, we have no youth platform, and young conservative leaders are lying. They're lying. Thank you. Please like and share this video.
Lots of awesome information there for a 2-minute video. That's what makes her video so effective.
So positive.
Well, the thing is
it's real. It's real.
She's ringing the alarm, and she's remarkably accurate. One thing I'm going to have to ask her, you have to remind me, Brian, when next time we have her on, is where did she learn all this stuff? Because had I heard this stuff when we first started this show back in 2014, I may have even disagreed with some of the things she's saying because I didn't learn the things that she's talking about. And she's actually very incredibly accurate. And I'm curious to know if there's different sources of where she got her information. It's just the general philosophy of America, communism, why we reject it, and why, what real news and fake news is, and why it's important in America, why it was considered the fourth estate and a check on all the powers by exposing it to the public. And she's like, understands all this stuff perfectly, and she's a freshman in college.
It blows my mind.
Yeah. So
absolutely blows my mind. I don't know where, because I know we weren't for as much as our teachers back growing up were not hardcore commies, angry, hate-filled.
Right. But they still admitted. And I blame that on the Department of Education, because if you have a teacher, she goes through teacher's college, she gets her degree, she gets her certificate, she goes and gets a job at a high school, let's say, because this is where you should be learning this stuff. They're pigeonholed into a curriculum that's a part of the book. So let's say you're an American history teacher. You're not writing the book. You're not teaching the class by going up in front of the class with a white chalk in front of the blackboard and giving a big old dissertation. You have to follow along with the textbook that they give you. And if they omit the important philosophy, Enlightenment period, and all that kind of stuff, you're just not going to learn what you need to learn to really understand America, which is what happened to us.
Right.
That's what happened to us.
So before we have our next incredible guest on here in just a few minutes, Dr. Jane Ruby.
I thought, is she coming on at 6:30?
Bottom of the hour.
Oh, good. Okay, awesome. I just want to make sure, because for some reason I thought it was 7.
It was originally.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because we were to have Deanna Lorraine on.
Which we'll have her on next week.
Yes, she is tentatively scheduled for next week. She ran into...
Penciled in.
Oh, I got that thing.
You said tentatively.
Oh.
Is it chiseled in stone?
Yeah.
All right.
Black and permanent.
Well, you said tentatively.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. It was tentatively for today, but then it fell through.
Right. Okay.
So I've got all these videos to get through because, folks, we normally have a jam-packed full show full of all different video clips and video things. But let me get through a couple of these real quick that have to do with the election. And this is Tucker Carlson. This is a 15-second heartbreaker.
It's interesting, though. I just read an analysis, and it was on 538, not a right-wing site, that said between 2000 and 2015, every single recount statewide that changed an election result changed it in the Democrats' favor, every single one.
I just feel like having you stop. Oh, you did stop it. That was it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a critical stat right there. People, if you're not a stats person like me, have you ever seen the movie A Beautiful Mind?
Oh, yeah.
Remember the scenes where the great John Nash, played by Russell Crowe, would try to solve these complex equations, and he could start to see the white wax letters and variables and numbers and equations floating all around him in 3D, and he could see it all, and it all was perfectly. That's kind of how I see numbers and statistics. I really do see that way. And I'm telling you right now, I cannot overstate what Tucker just said there. And that is that this is statistical proof that there's election meddling by the Democrats in the Democrats' favor.
What would be the odds that this is coincidental for 15 years on every single vote nationwide? It always favors Democrats.
It would be
for 15 years.
It would be. Statistically, it would be an impossibility. It's like the argument that I have with evolutionists who say, well, life could have just spawned by itself at some point. They've had billions and billions and billions of years for it to happen. There's lightning strikes in the primordial soup. Energy added. We had different atmosphere. We had more energy. We were closer to the sun. Certainly an accident could have happened where molecules could have assembled in just the right way, just by accident, in order to cause something that we would view as life. And I'm like, statistical impossibility. And for those of you who believe in life spawning from non-life, which, by the way, is pseudoscience, pretty much proven beyond any shadow of a doubt that it would never happen. That's kind of what we're talking about here. 15 years and these close races that have to be either recount or gone over with a fine-tooth comb. You could tell me, well, Carrie, there could be a reason behind that isn't just statistical. Like, for instance, maybe it's because every time there's an issue with recounts, it just happens to happen in a very densely populated area, which, by the way, we call them cities. And cities just happen to be a lot more Democrat just by their nature. So when you start to go in through all these votes with a fine-tooth comb, it's going to be more so with the Democrat votes, which in turn would end up giving you more votes than the Democrat. I don't know. I need to see that argument a little bit more closely. Nobody's made that argument, by the way. I literally just made that argument up by myself right now. I would like to see if somebody wants to explore that further. But when you think about how sometimes the Republican wins, sometimes the Democrat wins, it doesn't matter if it's close or not. If a Democrat's running and the Democrat wins, sometimes it could be a landslide, sometimes it could be close, sometimes it could be razor thin, sometimes it'll happen even with a recount, but statistically, it should happen equal both sides. It should happen especially in close races, in very, very, very close races. Like, for instance, if we're in a red state and that always has a red governor, you're always going to have a Republican governor every time, and so that wouldn't apply. But we're talking about really close races where it could go either way depending on the recount. Tucker's saying every single time, 100% of the time,
from
for 2000
to 2015.
It's a statistical impossibility.
And how is it that that old girl in Arizona just the Republicans just bowed down walking away?
They may not know.
Republicans got to fight this.
She may not realize that she had just been duped. That she's now her political career, the carcass of her political career has just been thrown on top of the pile of victims that have been victimized by this election meddling. It has to be election meddling. And by the way, I would love to know what the political leanings are of the actual poll workers. I'm talking about the person that you walk into and they say, "Hi, I need to see your ID." Okay, and they look at it and then they say, "Here, sign here." And then those workers, I know that when my grandmother used to do it, she was a hardcore Democrat. She was asked to do it by her friends in the Democrat Party. Where are the Republicans? Where are the Republicans on this? Where are they going around asking, "Hey, that poll that you go to and vote, Carrie? Yeah, what about it?" Well, there's a job there where you have to hand out the ballots. You have to look at the the person's ID and check their signature and make sure and hand them the ballot. I've never been asked to do that.
At my polling station, at like 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, the morning shift was finished. And then the afternoon shift to finish up came in. Literally every single handicapped spot emptied out because everybody who worked that morning had to have been over 100 years old.
Okay.
They were all these old cotton tops, all these ladies that were connected, lots and lots of older ladies.
There is an unbelievably overwhelming female to male ratio. It's almost completely every polling place I've ever gone to, which of course is mostly mine, but a couple of times I've gone to other. It's always a female working the tables, and I don't know where. And I know for a fact that my grandmother. I asked her how she knew, like, how do you become a worker at these polls? And she was like, "Oh, I was just at one of my Democrat meetings, and somebody said, hey, we need poll workers." I go to Republican meetings. I've never been asked to work a poll.
Here's the thing. Bill Still did a video this week that was pretty groundbreaking, eye-opening. Okay. He led into his story right after he played that part about Tucker Carlson. And Bill Still said, okay, you can take this article, you can take this story out of the conspiracy theory and put it into a possibility.
Plausible.
Okay. 1982, the Republican Party, which I thought was quite ingenious, put together a campaign to where they mailed out mailers to inner city people. And if they got the mailer back and it said return to sender, they knew that name was probably not living there or dead.
Not living, like they moved or they died.
Right.
Okay.
And it was primarily, they were mailing these out to Democrat voters, inner city, black, minority, at least that's what Democrats claimed. Well, they went to the poll of the day of the poll, and they had the list of all the names of return to sender. And they were looking for those people to sign that were going to come in and vote and who they were that was going to vote. Mm-hmm. And it was their way of trying to thwart the voter fraud because the government wasn't getting involved in this stuff.
Right.
Where they went wrong with it was they actually had a off-duty police officer with an armband on that said, poll worker TSA, I'm violent, don't come back.
Okay.
So the Democrats sued and said that the Republicans were being a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe.
Voter suppression.
Correct. Okay. So they entered into an agreement with the Democrats and a particular judge to where the Republicans agreed that they would not be involved in the polls whatsoever and they would stand back because they don't want to be seen as racist.
Oh, so you're talking about poll watching.
Right.
Basically.
So they agreed that they would stay nationwide. They would stay away from the polls nationwide on election day. And the judge, who was a hardcore appointed by Jimmy Carter, hardcore leftist judge, renewed the contract every single year until he retired. And then when he retired, he renewed it every single year until he died. And then when he died in 2015, 2 years later, Democrats tried to press it. Republicans won. Long story short, Republicans won. This contract is now expired, null and void. Trump knows about it. Trump got involved with it. And I'm telling you, this is the election. 2018 was the first election that I have seen Republicans press the court. You saw Matt Gaetz down there at the polling station.
Yeah, he had the bullhorn on the.
Never seen a Republican at a polling station.
Yeah,
Never.
That was great. They were screaming to be allowed in to see what was going on with the ballots. You remember when we had Jim Condit Jr. on a long time ago, it was like back in 2016, where he explained the proper way to conduct a free and fair and legitimate and not fraudulent election. And I had never been walked through the process before, like Jim Condit Jr. did. And I was, and you can actually go to Spreaker.com and search and find our Jim Condit Jr. Interview because it was fascinating. And it's not that complicated, and it's not that hard. It's not that hard work. It's not that labor intensive. And with today's technology, it can even be done remotely as far as poll watching. He actually suggested that a camera that can be accessed by anybody in the U.S. that keeps an eye on the ballots the whole entire time at every single polling place, and the video is recorded so that you could go back and look at the tape to make sure that chain of custody is maintained on these things.
Yeah, because we've seen now. We've got poll workers saying that they were told to change the ballots. There were subsequent ballots that weren't filled out yet that they were going to fill out.
And people
they were missing ballots,
missing boxes,
whole boxes. And then I got that story. We still don't have our guest on.
Then they would find them. They would find the boxes and say, "Oh, well, nobody knew where this was, and we have an idea of where it came from, but it is a big box full of ballots, all ballots of which were cast for the Democrats."
Right.
And we're going to go ahead and pile this on to the rest of them. Who knows? They knew where they came from, but they're acting like they didn't know where they came from. They're acting like they didn't know why they were lost or why they were left in the trunk of a car at an airport or whatnot. And they're adding to the total. Voter fraud has been a major problem, and we need to revisit every single place.
This 38 seconds that is going to blow your mind.
I got a call from an Avis rental employee that he had contacted the sheriff's deputies upstairs at the airport, and they weren't interested in reporting this. So he contacted me, and it turns out there are some provisional ballot boxes and other materials from the supervisor of elections left within a Avis rental car. And the rental car was rented to a gentleman by the name of Noah Holloman, who's a Democrat who actually donated to Andrew Gillum, and I believe the sheriffs are coming right now. So they're here right now, and you can see the ballot box inside the building right there.
Wow.
Hold on, watch. Kerry, look. There it is. There's the ballot. Yeah. There's the ballot box.
Yeah.
The ballot box inside the Avis rental. Inside the Avis rental.
That's clearly no chain of custody. And then on top of that, I think it was Laura Loomer was given broken seals from ballot box locks.
I had that in the show notes. She posted up pictures of all the seals of the boxes that were broken and thrown out in the backyard of the polling station. Come on, man.
Yeah, why is that the case? So we have our second guest on. Would you like to introduce her, Brian?
Yes, we have Dr. Jane Ruby on. And like I said before, if you go down into the bottom of the show notes, you'll see the link to her book, A Sea of New Media. We're going to talk about that. She did get in. Well, I don't know if she got in with it, but she started calling out this woman, I can't pronounce her name, out of Minnesota, who's hardcore Islam, Sharia law person.
Omar is her last name, right?
Yeah, Omar's her last name. And she tweeted out about that. Also, Brigitte Gabriel tweeted out about it as well. So without any further ado, Dr. Jane Ruby, welcome to Smyth Radio. Glad to have you on.
Hey, guys. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. So you're involved with the American Priorities Conference, and you're going to be there. You running that thing, or what's going on?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's growing and it's just exploding, and it's just more than we even imagined. But I really have to give credit to my wonderful friend, a great patriot, Alex Phillips, who really conceived the idea last year when CPAC started to alienate folks and censor folks and, leave a lot of folks out in the movement, even if they didn't have the same opinions. We want to hear from everybody. We want a dialogue. And so, it was the brainchild. And then Alex's excitement for it just, was so contagious. And we've all been helping.
Didn't they, wasn't Milo supposed to speak and then they canceled Milo at the last minute?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that's a blast from the past on that. Because we were there 2 years ago, and that really hit home what you just said, Dr. Jane, because 2 years ago, we volunteered, both Brian and I volunteered to be in CPAC, and we had help from people high up to make sure that we were selected because we had never done it before. They didn't know who we were, so we got vouched for by important people. And seriously, I mean, they probably would have just blew us off.
We're not allowed on anymore.
Well, hold on, you're getting ahead of me.
Sorry.
So
Well,
anyway.
if you guys had a really interesting conversation with I love Brandon Straka. He's amazing, and what he's done is amazing. But you guys touched on the fact that we have different factions within the conservative, Republican, whatever you want to call it. And I think that that's what came out, that CPAC has gotten a little too establishment.
Absolutely.
And so now it's sealed off and it's just for the mucky muck. And so I think there's room for more, conservative conferences, lots more.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, we volunteered. They accepted us. We got there, and I could tell by the way that they were treating us as far as giving us certain jobs, that they looked up to us as people. Yeah. They didn't know who we were, but they could tell that we were people that could get stuff done. So they gave us the types of jobs that required the most responsibility for a volunteer. And so that's what Brian and I were doing, and we did a very good job. And the following year, we put in the same request to be a volunteer again. And this time I basically said, hey, we did this last year. We really thought we did a good job. And the people who were directing us said that we did a great job. And like 2 weeks after our application, they said, yeah, we're sorry, you're denied. And we were shocked. And when I asked around about that, they said, oh, that's bad. That's bad when that happens.
No, but I got an explanation.
You did?
Yeah, no, I have an explanation why we are not allowed to go back.
Okay, what's that?
Because I share the damn show on the Facebook page with all the volunteers. The CPAC volunteers have a group for CPAC volunteers. That's where you get all your information.
Oh, you shared our show?
I shared the show with the group.
Oh gosh. Well, they have a very strict thing about volunteers that you can't give an interview to media. Well, Brian and I at 8 a.m. were on NRA TV.
Yeah, giving an interview on NRA TV.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You guys you get so excited and passionate about this stuff. Oopsie.
Right. I mean, why not? Do what you got to do. So, okay. So real quick, you're going to be speaking at American Priorities Conference coming up here in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And
we have a couple of fun things happening that I'm really involved in. I think your viewers would love to know about. Yes. First of all, and thank you for plugging the book, A Sea of New Media. It just came out a few months ago. It chronicles how citizens are becoming the media because we can't trust the real media. So I'm going to be moderating a panel, which I'm really excited about in terms of citizen journalism. And actually, I think Laura Loomer is going to be on that with me.
Oh, good.
Full disclosure, she's my BFF. So
you guys got into a little bit of mess this week, didn't you? Well,
we get into a little bit of mess every now and then. I've got some good stories, but the second thing I want to share with the follower, just before I forget, is that how could I forget? Is that as one of the associate producers of Hoaxed, Mike Cernovich, major producer, the movie, The Media's War on Truth, I'm really proud of what Mike and the directors have done. I'm proud to be a part of it. And each associate producer is entitled to do a screening of the movie in their own geographic area. And so I'm really the only associate producer in the general DC area. So I'm really lucky enough to be doing this. And Mike is going to be with us. He's going to do a Q&A. We're going to have some surprise guests, really big name surprise guests.
Well, you're allowed to say that.
But it's going to be wonderful and an after party that you will never forget.
Oh,
so
wow.
I really encourage everyone to go to Eventbrite and look up Hoaxed, 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 the movie. And that's where people can buy the tickets for the film, either the screening alone with the Q&A with Mike or the film plus the after party. So the pretty reasonable prices of the tickets. You'll get a link if you go to the American Priority site to get your general conference tickets. So you could do either or follow it through the American Priority website as well.
So I promised everybody that when we bring Dr. Jane Ruby on, that you are going to be somebody who's a big mover and shaker in the MAGA community. So you have your hand in getting together the American Priority Conference, which everybody needs to come to. We're going to be there too. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be one. I'm convinced now, because of course we are privy to inside information, that if you miss this conference, you're going to say, wow, why didn't I do that? I'm telling everybody that because I really, truly believe it. I'm 100% convinced now that if you miss this thing, as a MAGA person who likes to be involved and come, you just cannot miss this thing. So you're involved with the making of that. You were involved with the production or producing of Hoaxed with Mike Cernovich. And now you have this book, A Sea of New Media, which you guys could go and buy on Amazon.com. And she's showing it right now. Awesome.
Oh, hold on. Put it on the other side of your head.
Yeah, put it on the other side of you. There we go.
You go. Perfect.
Awesome. I like that. You see the smartphones and everything. That is so true. Like every place we go now, it's like that.
The picture and the title were inspired. You guys will probably remember this if you're not too young. Andrew Breitbart's speech on the National Mall, when he vindicated the Tea Party, because the Congressional Black Caucus accused them of being racist in their language, and he vindicated them. And that night on the National Mall, he said to them, "Hold up your phones." And it was just thousands of people with their cell phones at night. And he said, "Now you have a sea of new media to capture the lies." And I was blown away by that speech.
That is cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, Carrie and I started this almost 5 years ago, audio only, because the technology allowed that and money allowed that. And we just little by little. And because of technology, because of the situation that we're in, that you're in, that we're all in, we now have the ability to take over the new media. And Mark Taylor with the Trump prophecies, he says the only thing that hasn't come to play is that the media agrees with Trump. Nah, man, that's us.
Yeah, we're the media. We do agree with Trump.
We are the media now, and you guys have done what you've accomplished is unbelievable. I just love what you've developed and you've grown. You've got great followers, and you just really made a great contribution to the movement.
Oh, thank you so much. And by the way, we're going to be co-paneling a breakout session about this, about a show like this that anybody can do. And one of the things I'm going to say, amongst many other a lot of things, is you got to stick with it. You've got to get through that months and months long period where nobody's listening and you're wondering if anybody ever will, because that's seriously not only that happened to us, but it's happening. I'm actually meeting people and I'm coaching them and counseling them because they're starting this, and I'm telling them, I'm urging them, I'm like, you've got to get through this long period where literally you're not going to have any audience and you're going to wonder if it's ever going to happen, and you just got to get through it.
Right. And when we got started out, I'll tell you, like I said, again, it was audio only. Things are different now. You can Periscope all day long. You could be another Magdalene Rose. I mean, you could be anything you want now. Back then, it just seemed like the audio was kind of catching wave, and we were getting involved in that. And there might have been 5 people listening that night, and 2 of them were my parents, and 2 were his parents, and the other one we didn't know. And that went for at least a year.
Yeah,
and we got excited.
Year, right.
We got thrilled when the show got 100 listens. We were just ecstatic, cracking open the drinks. But it's a labor of love. Don't do this if you're not drawn and pulled to it. Don't get me wrong. There are times where I thought that, that I'm done with this. And Carrie was like, no, we're not. And there were times he said, I'm done. And I said, no, we're not.
It's big picture.
And then my wife said to both of us, shut up, you idiots. You're not done yet.
That's right.
But that's what this is all about, though. This coming together, American Priorities Conference.
Right.
Absolutely. And I think, you mentioned it a few minutes ago. You touched on something really important. This is the beginning, or sort of the launch of this alternative, new conservative conference. And I think we're going to look back in a few years, 5 years, and even 10, and we're going to say, wow, we never thought it would grow to this.
Yep.
It can only get better, and it can only grow. And I think the word is going to get out. But I think the first year is going to be really super special because, the conference is making history. Let's face it.
You know, it's interesting that you say that when, you know, we went to the Deplore Ball and it was the hottest ticket in town. But when I first bought the ticket, when it was only $30 for the Deplore Ball ticket, I remember thinking, oh, I envisioned this thing as a bunch of ragtag, you know, poorly dressed, dirty, grimy guys clanking beer mugs together like, yeah, we won the White House or whatever. And then, of course, it became the hottest ticket in town. And even today, to this day, when I tell people, oh yeah, I was at the Deplore Ball, they're like, really? You were at the Deplore Ball? You're like, yeah, we were there. And I feel like, you know, we were at the St. Louis Eagle, was it the Eagle Conference?
Eagle Conference. And
one thing that I noticed about that one is how it felt so big and established and like it was well oiled. Everything was it was almost like a legacy. I had no idea that this thing's been going on for like 50 years.
Not only that, but they had no idea us young whippersnappers is going to show up.
Yeah, they were like, who are all these young people? Yeah.
You know, having some low energy soy boy Antifa show up.
Right. They were, we've never had protesters here before. I thought that was funny. But the point is that we're doing pretty awesome so far in throwing together this thing for the first year. If we keep this thing going every year, you look at something like a St. Louis, which I feel is peanuts compared to what we could do because they're very focused on one specific issue that happens to that a lot of conservatives like. MAGA is a lot more encompassing. And so I think this thing can get very, very big in the future. And so I'm really excited. And anybody listening right now, you don't want to miss the inaugural. You do not want to miss the inaugural. Right.
That's right. And there are so many wonderful things coming together. There are going to be workshops. There are going to be, you know, it's not just a bunch of presentations at you. There's going to be a lot of interacting, and I think the networking is going to be off the charts. And the new people, all of us will be meeting, and the new ideas and the fertilization of ideas. And yes, there will be those headliners and those famous, you know, few famous people and names that folks will recognize, and that's going to be exciting. I mean, even more famous than you guys, you know.
Oh, come on now. No, I will say this about the networking aspect of it. When Carrie and I went to CPAC, and then subsequently back to Bull Moose and these events, they were kind of small compared to this as a 3-day event. There were people that we got connected with that we had never known before.
Yeah, even the Eagle Conference.
I mean, where did we meet? Where did you meet Katja Lee at?
Well, she was on Your Voice America with me.
Oh, okay. But we met up with her in D.C., and we met you in St. Louis. And so, you know, all these things just kind of, and you find each other. And it's just one of those things where if it was meant to be, it'll be. You just got to show up.
Right.
Yeah, just show up. And, you know, a lot of times I went alone, you know, and a lot of folks went alone and we just connected and we because we wanted to be there. Yes. We knew something big was happening in the country, that all those years of watching and getting discouraged were coming to a peak, and we knew things were going to be changing for the better. So it's just going to be great. And I think you're right. It's going to explode. It's going to be much bigger, and we're going to outgrow the venue. The venue is going to be beautiful. I don't know if you've talked about that.
No, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, please tell us.
Oh, the venue is very historic. It's called the Marriott Boardman Park Hotel and Convention Center. I believe that almost every contemporary president in the last 30, 35 years has spoken there. Oh, wow. CPAC got its start there. They've now outgrown it, and they've gone to a huge convention center over in Maryland.
Yeah, across the
but it's beautiful. It's in a residential neighborhood of D.C. It's quiet. And because many presidents and many VIPs and dignitaries have spoken there, they actually have a built-in ingress-egress system. So they've got an underground system.
Oh, wow.
So people, the security level is they can scale it up or down depending on, you know, what's needed and how big a profile person is coming to speak.
Oh,
but it's absolutely
fascinating.
Charming and beautiful. The space is gorgeous. We're going to have lots of little breakout rooms. We'll have lots of receptions, and we're going to and one of the things that's been built into this conference that I think is exciting are things like artists, like conservative artists. We weren't able to get like Ben Garrison, who I adore. I love him.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Ben. I love him.
I know, but maybe next year.
Yeah.
You know, we're already talking to him, and his schedule wouldn't allow this year. And there are a lot of, not just myself, but there are a lot of people in the movement that have tried to write books and articles, and they're going to be, selling, signing, giving away, whatever it is, their books. So it's really going to be very exciting. A lot of different stuff.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then again, I mentioned earlier, there's going to be multiple get-togethers where, the cocktail hour or whatever it be. And Brandon Straka said that he's still the life of the party no matter what.
Oh, yeah, for sure. 100%.
I believe that.
He pretty much is. I've been to a couple of events with him lately in D.C., and he's not lying. He pretty much is.
Yeah. And then there'll be a brunch on Saturday and a get-together on Friday night, and then Thursday. There's just a lot of things going on. There'll be a lot of energy, a lot of like-minded individuals. If you've ever been to a Trump rally, it just feels like you're hanging out with your friends. You're home.
I got that feeling for the first time ever at the Deplore Ball, where I'm looking around at 999 other people, and I'm like, wow, it's like family. Even though I had never met a single person in that place face to face, some of them through Your Voice America and all that kind of stuff, but none of them face to face. And I'm like, wow, it's like everybody is just getting along, and we're all on the same wavelength. And if you haven't ever been to something like that, you got to come to this American Priority Conference and really experience it for the first time, to see people that you've probably seen on YouTube and Facebook and all that kind of stuff, and realize these people are just like you.
Yeah, like in St. Louis with Stefan Molyneux. It was just hanging out with one of your bros and just talking about politics any day.
Interestingly about him, I when I went to go talk to him, I had a question that had nothing to do with politics. We ended up talking for like 20 minutes because it was just a topic that interests him, and it was awesome.
For sure. And we were at the Eagle Forum together in St. Louis, the three of us, with a lot of other of our friends. And I realized he's a philosopher because you got to see a good portion of Hoaxed. And in the movie, it's not, I won't spoil it for folks, but there is a really beautiful ending to it. And Stefan has done something incredibly artistic with it. But
sure.
It showed me that he's a philosopher. And getting back to the deplorable,
yeah, sure.
I felt exactly the same way. I walked in there alone, but feeling like I knew the entire room, and I was going to. I had been communicating and watching and admiring people like Jack Posobiec and people like Mike Cernovich, who started a lot of this online, gathering and herding the movement and energizing all of us, and showing that we were together, that we did have a movement. And so meeting them, I got there early that night because I wanted to hang with them and just, get to know them better personally. But that was my first time meeting them in person. And now, of course, we're all really good friends.
Oh, yeah.
We've gone to each other's weddings and, we know each other's families and all that.
That was the first place I've ever been to in my life where it was a large gathering where you could go up to any single person or group of people, just walk straight up to them, and as soon as you introduce yourself, and sometimes before you get a chance to introduce yourself, they've all got a big smile and they can't wait to find out either who you are or to meet you if they already know who you are. And that you won't find that anywhere else in the world. And I saw it at the Deplorable. I saw it at all these other parties that were associated with the same people as the Deplorable, and of course even at the Shafley Eagle Council. Same thing. It was like over and over. And so we're going to see that, of course, at the American Priorities Conference. And you guys are going to be so glad you came. 100%.
Oh, yeah. I hope folks will go to the website, go to AmericanPriority.com, get your tickets for the conference, go to Eventbrite and look up Hoaxed movie and get your tickets for that. Because the Hoaxed movie screening with the after party is what's kicking off the conference. So we're going to start out with a really exciting night.
Wow.
It's just going to energize people. People are not going to want to go to bed.
No. And you saw the movie Hoaxed with us in St. Louis, right?
Yes.
And so, folks, we've seen it. And I'm here to tell you, that's one movie you do not want to miss.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And not only that, but you can watch it with all your friends and the producers and the directors. And we had a Q&A session afterwards in St. Louis, which lasted awful late. We had to get, because Cernovich's Cali time, 3 hours behind. But anyways, I digress. You'll have a great time to hang out with the director and the producers and talk.
Yes.
And people will be able to talk to Mike and talk to all of us, but also, have questions answered about the film. The film is very balanced, and it explains how dangerous a media that lies to you is, how it costs lives and it causes wars. And it really shows a direct correlation. It's not really a right or left movie.
Yeah, there's some surprises in there for people.
Some surprises.
Yes.
Let's just say that. Yeah, really worth it.
Absolutely.
Really worth it. So,
real quick, I know we're talking about American Priorities Conference, but real quick, I got your book up, your new book, A Sea of New Media. Real quick, you want to talk about that real fast and plug it a little bit?
Sure. Thank you. As I said, it was inspired by Andrew Breitbart's comment, and how it was more than the fact that he just said something that was important. It had, to me, it resonated, had far-reaching, consequences for what direction we're going to go in next. Remember the guy who, everybody knows this guy, nobody knows his name, but everybody, remember the guy who was just happened to be at the right place at the right time and photographed Hillary Clinton on 9/11/2016 getting dragged into her van. If he had not, he's a citizen. If he had not, taken his cell phone and taken that video, we never would have known she was that ill.
Right.
And it's important. It was important.
One person. No, you're right.
Yeah, it's important that we would have, that the people back in the day knew that FDR was crippled. I mean, that would have been, not that we needed to know, but if it came out that he was, and we're in the middle of this Cold War, or we're in the middle of this war, and things,
so World War II,
World War II, and things aren't looking good, and now all of a sudden you've got a president that's actually in a wheelchair.
Well, it turns out that good people do the right thing no matter what. It turns out in World War II, it was good to not let everybody know that he was crippled, and it was a good thing for the world to know that Hillary was very ill.
Absolutely.
So people always do the right thing.
And it's more than just a public official being ill, as you know. It's being able to get the truth out there, because when 5,000 people are tweeting about it and they're on the scene of an event, you have a higher, nothing's 100%, but you have a higher probability that they're telling the truth, rather than what is being fed to us from these corporate conglomerates, this Democrat media complex. So the book is about it is about that, and it also chronicles some of the major people in the movement. And there are many more than I was able to get in. I really should do a second edition. But it talks about people like Laura Loomer, who many people don't know started as an operative with Project Veritas.
Yeah. Right. Okay? We knew that because back when nobody was listening to one of his, I think it was the voter fraud video that he came out with 2 years ago, he put it out there and nobody was talking about it. And at the time I was on Your Voice America, and Bill Mitchell mentioned, gosh, I cannot believe this video is not catching more traction. I'm really shocked. So I reached out to Project Veritas, and the person that answered the phone was Laura Loomer. So that's how Laura Loomer and I started our professional relationship, because when she answered the phone, this is gonna be kind of a funny story. When she answered the phone, you could tell by the tone in her voice that she was like, is her name Jean or Janine? The woman in Ghostbusters who was sitting there waiting for days for a phone. That's how Laura Loomer was.
Yes, I got the phone. She picks up on like a half a ring. Hello, yeah, hi.
Yeah.
You there?
Oh, man, she was so happy I called.
He still does that. If she doesn't pick up by the end of my first ring on my cell phone, I know she's either doing a TV interview, doing a radio interview, or she's in the shower, okay?
Yeah.
Because Laura doesn't answer on the second or third or fifth ring.
But she was so happy. She was so happy that we were interested in having James O'Keefe come on as a guest, because everybody was ignoring him at that moment. And that was what got the ball rolling on people starting to see James O'Keefe's undercover videos again. After the Acorn thing, it's like he went on a long hiatus, and then the first video that brought him out of that hiatus was that voter fraud one way back in 2016 that nobody was giving him traction on, and ever since then we've had that relationship. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I think he was probably setting up his infrastructure for Project Veritas, and to me, he's at the level of Julian Assange, which for me is a truth teller.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
His stuff has never been refuted. They can call him whatever they want, but it's never been refuted. And James's stuff is real.
Right.
It's just fascinating. I think James O'Keefe is an American hero, and I think Laura Loomer is an American hero. Her devotion to our country, she just doesn't get enough credit for that.
Right.
Because
people on the right have criticized her for her tactics because it kind of feels like an Alinskyite type thing that sometimes she does. But at the end of the day, we've got to have some people doing that on our behalf. If you don't want everybody doing that, I get it. But some people have to become a pit bull. Or else we're just going to get run over.
Well, yeah, you got to get in their face. Absolutely, get in their face. And
yes. And guys, I've been with her at a couple of Loomerings.
Yeah.
you were there this week, wasn't it?
I've been the photographer.
Oh, cool.
Several times with Maxine Waters, with Tim Kaine, and I have to tell you, once she gets herself ready, and once she turns on, and she focuses and laser focuses on that target, she's got the history. She's calling them out. It was amazing.
Yeah.
What she did to Tim Kaine was educational for me.
Oh, that's
she
awesome.
Had it all down.
Oh, that's cool. So she does her homework, is what you're saying.
She does her homework. She is a quintessential guerrilla investigative journalist.
Right.
She's really fabulous.
It's interesting.
And there are other people too that just do it in different ways.
Yeah, and she was an apprentice to the great James O'Keefe, so I could see where she gets it. So
and what's amazing is that you got these blue check marks this week that were tweeting out something about no voter fraud. There's no fraud, and then you got James that comments to him and said, "Oh, no fraud? Here, I'll repost the videos for you." I'm like,
right.
Hey, come on, man.
Yeah, so we have evidence of fraud, but I made the argument earlier this week. I don't know, Jane, if you got a chance to see the scope that I did, but people kept on saying, why do you keep on accusing everybody of voter fraud when you don't have evidence? The burden of proof is on you since you're the one accusing us of voter fraud. And I flipped the script on them by pointing out that the law is set for how you process and handle votes. Once you violate any of those laws, now the burden of proof that those are now untainted, legitimate ballots is on you because you broke the law. So now you have to prove to us that you did not commit voter fraud. We can accuse you of anything at this point.
And this breach of the chain of command. I mean, you can't have one
chain of possession. Yeah, chain of possession.
Right. The chain of possession, and not chain of command. You're right. Sorry. the chain and that movement of that chain of possession. If you breach any one section of that, you've invalidated.
Yes.
What about the video with the pickup truck that was driving up to the big giant moving vans? And, oh, no, these were left behind. They're in my pickup truck. I'm just dumping them off. Don't worry about this.
Let me tell you something. The left is so comfortable
with
lean.
Yes.
They're so comfortable and emboldened with, look, you could say, they got their hand in the cookie jar like this. What? I'm not stealing cookies. Your eyes are lying to you.
Do you know,
I mean, it's really that bad.
That actually comes from them getting away with it for so long.
And if you watch Bill Still's video that he put out earlier this week that I talked about earlier in the show, apparently they've been getting away with it for 36 straight years, unchecked by the Republican Party.
Wow.
Unchecked.
It's frightening. It's frightening. And I'll tell you what else is frightening, that some of these socialists actually get within a range that's so close that they can demand a recount.
Right.
Wait a minute. Hello.
Well,
really? Almost 49% in certain states are voting yes to a socialist?
And
I know, it's painful.
Right. Magdalene Rose was saying that we lost the youth vote 32 to 60, 67 to 32. We lost the youth vote.
Pretty much 2-1.
Right. We were at an adult establishment drinking adult beverages. And this young kid who was just freshly out of high school, he was 21, and he went to the local Catholic private all-boys school. And he made the comment to me that, capitalism and communism, there's a lot of similarities.
What?
I said, I can't even entertain this anymore. I've got to walk away from you, man.
He needs an education.
Some people still think the word progressive means to just move things ahead in a good way.
Oh.
It's really scary. But you know what? We have to take some onus for that. I'm not sure that as conservatives and sort of Republicans that we're really doing a good enough job to educate the youth. And,
You're right.
I've always said the establishment GOP is no different than the Democrats. We've got a lot of work to do in our party and weeding out all of that. And I heard you guys talking about that with Brandon in the last segment about we've got a tricky situation in the Republican Party. We've got snakes in our grass.
Well, did you guys see the Michelle Obama interview about her new book coming out?
I did hear a little bit about it.
It was George Bush's daughter who interviewed her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the Bushes are establishment. The Bushes,
right.
There is no, I'll say it, this is my mantra. There is no difference between the establishment GOP and the left.
Right.
And until we sort those out, and I think we did get rid of some of them.
We did.
We got rid of Barbara Comstock in Virginia, who was a registered Republican / maybe conservative who promised to vote to impeach the president along with the Dems if she got elected. And I shouldn't say we, because she was defeated by a Democrat. That's right. I don't know which is sicker.
Well, and one thing I've said, when we had the House and we had the Senate, which we still have the Senate, but now I think we really have Senate. But back then, I told everybody, don't fall for this false sense of a majority. It's not about Republican versus Democrat. It's about we the people versus the establishment. And we are outnumbered right now when it comes to representation. Now, if you look at the whole country, we probably outnumber them 66% to 33%. I really truly believe that. But as far as representation with the Republicans and Democrats, you got establishment on one side, you got establishment on the other, and very few people like your Jim Jordans and your Donald Trumps and all that are actually representing the people. And so don't be fooled into thinking that we have some sort of a majority. These people that have resigned because they didn't think they can win we didn't lose anything. Right. We didn't lose anything.
We needed to weed them out.
Right.
We needed to weed them out. And if nobody believes you, all they have to do is look at the 8 years of Obama's presidency. He got everything he wanted with a Republican majority in both.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Paul Ryan signed the 4.2 billion.
Guys,
trillion? Was it $4.2 trillion for his budget for a 9-month budget? Paul Ryan,
I'm on the ground here in D.C. Paul Ryan, after Obama was out of office, was up in Adams Morgan meeting with Obama at his new house with the big wall.
Oh gosh! Wait, I shouldn't be surprised. Come on, we've been
tell you guys stories.
So this week I ran into my dad. He lives kind of far away, so I normally don't run into him throughout the week. But I ran into him, and he made a comment about he was listening to Rush this week, and Rush was saying something about McCain. And McCain's people, establishment, are falling out and have walked away, have resigned. And my dad was it seemed like he was like, you know what, we're losing them. And I told him, I said, those are the ones we want to lose.
Right.
Let them go. Let the Flakes go. Let the McCains. Well, McCain kind of went on his own. But
you get it.
But let them go.
Yeah. I love that about you guys. You get it.
Awesome. Well, Jane, I absolutely love this time that we have you on. This is the second time we've had you on, right?
Second or first? I can't remember.
I think I might have done a little radio with you guys like a year ago or something.
Yeah, because we were radio about a year ago.
Much more.
It's
a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
So, American Priorities Conference, folks, AmericanPriority.com. Sign up, be there, be square. Leave the show audio on so you can still hear the show. But go to the website and sign up right now.
I'm going to be honest with you. If you're going to go and get your tickets right now, you can come back. It's okay. Go get your tickets. Go get your tickets.
You guys are sacrificing for the movement. I love
they'll be back. They'll be back.
They always come back.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I love your show, and I appreciate all the time tonight. It was great to talk to you.
All right. Excellent. Dr. Jane Ruby, thank you so much.
Have a great night.
You too. All right.
Wow, that is so
great.
Cool.
I'm so fired up about this. But it's coming down to the wire. So we're gonna get everything set up and make it a beautiful conference. I'm telling you right now, this is not just hype. We are in the inner workings, in the inner circle of the people who are actually putting this event on. Technically, we are a part of the people. We're the people putting it on. We're the people putting it on.
So media folks out there, you got to come through us.
Yeah,
we're the gatekeeper.
We are actually the press directors, if you want to get specific. We're the press directors of the American Priority Conference. So if anybody needs press passes, you got to come and apply through us. And I'll tell you, being in the inner workings of this thing, I would not be overstating it when I say that this is going to be an event for the ages, and from here going forward, this is going to be the new MAGA thing. Yeah. This is it right here. Yep. So as far as learning stuff and breakout sessions and meeting the people who are the movers and shakers, and this is it.
Yep, without a doubt. So real quick, we're in the last hour, and I've got a lot of videos, a lot of stuff to get to.
Lightning round.
Pretty much.
Yeah, all right.
So the video we were talking about with James O'Keefe, this is a 2-minute clip, and this is about voter fraud and what was going on. Here's James O'Keefe's undercover stuff.
Right. A strange man arrives in North Carolina at Mr. Romero's poll address and is offered his ballot to vote, despite the fact he said he had a Colombian passport.
William de Jesus Romero.
Is Romero your last name?
The name? William de Jesus Romero.
Okay. Put an X. Put an X in this box.
I get passport.
We don't need the passport, sir. All we need to do is to have you verify that you are who you say you are. We do not require an ID. We just require that you state your name and address.
I get passport?
No, we don't need it.
I go to,
we don't need it.
Passport colombiano en el coche.
Sign your name right there, and you may vote.
This is criminal.
Why does he have on his arm?
You can't sign.
Feel better with.
Oh, he's got a cast on. He's in character. He's in character.
Who is that? James?
Might be. I don't know. It's in character. Whoever it is in character.
Passport. Feel better with passport.
I feel better with passport.
If you want to get the passport, you may do that, but we do not need it. We simply need for you to make an X in this box, just like this.
She's showing him what to do. She's showing him to make the letter X in the box so he can vote. She's motioning how to make an X.
Colombiano.
Zbigniew Gorzkowski is also registered to vote in North Carolina. Here is a copy of his voter registration form. But we sent in another strange man who was also offered Mr. Gorzkowski's ballot to vote.
Zbigniew Gorzkowski? G. Gorzkowski. That's all right.
If you can sign it, it'll be okay.
Okay. I don't have my passport on me.
That's all right.
I don't need it. I can still vote. Sign. Okay. I would just feel more comfortable if I had passport.
Okay.
I'll go get my passport.
Yeah, just do
make
something.
an X?
Yeah, just do something.
That's all you need to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to get my ID.
No, I don't need your. I can't take your ID.
Really?
No, come here.
You can help me?
Yeah. Here.
You can just draw it for me?
Here, put your hand on mine.
Oh my God!
I'm not comfortable with that. I'm going to
Okay.
get my ID, bring that in here, we'll do that.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you very much.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
She said, put your hand on mine so that way I can say, well, he guided my... That's like a Ouija board and pushing it to the letters yourself and then going back later and saying, no, Brian was doing that. Come on. Because his hands were on it too, even though I was the one shoving it to all the letters.
I don't know if you guys remember that game. That's a game of Satan right there. That's a dirty Ouija board.
It could just be a piece of cardboard with letters on it. It could be.
Well, yeah, and that lady could not be helping him sign his name.
Oh, so she's evil. What she's doing is more evil than the Ouija board.
Right. So everybody pushing for counting the votes, counting the ballots down there in Broward County in Florida, being a debacle, missing the time frame, all kinds of nuts.
Oh.
This dude put out this video.
All the people down in Florida for having trouble counting the votes. They're trying to do the best they can. Y'all are like just all over them. Count them. Well, maybe they're stressed out and can't count. You know that happens.
This has got to be
You know
fake.
when you get stressed and you can't do something? You know what I mean? When you're like, sometimes you have to pee and you can't because somebody's right there beside you and you think, oh, I need to start right now or they're going to think I'm weird just standing here at the urinal. And that's what's happening probably in Florida right now. They feel like somebody's standing there and they can't pee count or whatever it is they do. So leave them alone. Stop stressing them out and let them do their job.
What's his name?
You think that's
That's fake.
I couldn't help it, man. That's too good.
What's his name?
I don't know. Might be. I don't know. I don't know who it is.
Yeah, listen to you. That was kind of funny.
Oh,
It's
you're
like
talking about
the guy from not Fox.
yeah, 925.
Fox.
Yeah.
Is that who it is?
No,
because it kind of looked and sounded a little bit like him. Whatever his name is, Donnie something.
Donnie Baker.
Was that wasn't Donnie Baker?
No,
it could have been.
Could have been.
Oh,
Could have
okay.
been. All right, so what else we got going on? We got the whole thing in Georgia. Oh,
Georgia. Yeah, make that quick because we got stuff that's even bigger than that. All right, go ahead with the Georgia.
Oh, here's Abrams in Georgia.
Joining me now for her first national interview since ending the race is Stacey Abrams, the former minority leader of the Georgia State House. Leader Abrams, thanks so much for joining us. You said that, quote, democracy failed in Georgia. Obviously, you're referring to some of the messy process of democracy, as you called it, incompetence and mismanagement. But do you think that there was deliberate interference in the election?
Yes.
Oh.
And I believe it began 8 years ago with the systematic disenfranchisement of more than 1 million voters. It continued with the underfunding and disinvestment in polling places, in training, and in the management of the county delivery of services. And I think it had its pinnacle in this race. But a few months before, in May of 2018, a Republican primary had to be called for a do-over because a number of voters did not receive accurate ballots. We know that there has been a dramatic discrepancy in the way absentee.
So she's trying to say, well, they have the Republicans too. What is an accurate ballot?
That would be you got the wrong ballot. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. When I was handing out the Republican voter guides, when I was doing it at my polling place, it had the list of candidates on my ballot.
Right.
Well, when they moved me up to Coleraine, I said, oh, no, I got the red slips. And they said, no, you need a whole nother stack.
Oh, yeah, you needed different pinks. Somebody came from Harrison, Ohio.
And they had the wrong ones?
With a pink to come vote in Cheviot.
No.
And I said, no. I said, you need this one. I told her, like, I just knew it.
Yeah, because they're the very, very small local people are going to be different from these little different precincts. So you could get a Harrison voter ballot. You could get a Harrison ballot while you're living in Cheviot. And guess what? You got an inaccurate ballot.
Oh, it's inaccurate.
It's inaccurate. Right. Maybe that's what she's talking about. The thing is every single thing that she said she has zero evidence of, period. Full stop. Right. She's making it up because by saying that, she's basically leveling a serious allegation.
She lost by 50,000 votes. Sherrod Brown said that this is voter fraud, that she should have won, although she lost by 50,000.
Sherrod Brown?
Yeah.
He weighed in on the Georgia race?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Hillary Clinton weighed in on it, too, and she said if she doesn't win, that this is fraud. It's fraud. Well, now that fraud's in the air, everybody's screaming fraud.
Well, the thing is it's just like, I've been coaching wrestling for a long time. And, when you have a little 9-year-old who wins a lot, used to winning, expecting to win. That's the key. When you're expecting to win and you really think you're going to win, and you may even be winning during the match, but you end up losing. And the ref tries to raise the other guy's hand. You end up throwing a fit, a temper tantrum. You don't accept the loss in any way, shape, or form. And then you start making excuses and saying that I would have won if X, Y, or Z didn't rip me off, or if somebody didn't cheat, or if somebody didn't do me wrong. And this is the kind of immature, just a lack of sportsmanship. And by the way, I think
victimhood. I'm a victim.
And I think sportsmanship is an okay word to use for any kind of competition. And an election is a competition between the two candidates. And this is just poor sportsmanship.
No, I agree 100%. So you want to get into the new attorney general in the House and Russia may go away?
Yeah, I don't understand what the deal is here. Basically, what they're hoping is that Donald Trump, being he's a non-politician. He was never a politician before he became president. And so they're hoping that the learning curve doesn't catch up with him. And there's people who know better. They know better, who are making up the rules and telling Trump what he can and cannot do, what he is and is not allowed to do per law. And they're actually 100% wrong. Even Judge Napolitano was wrong.
Yeah, Judge Knapp. I've fallen out with Judge Knapp. I have not gone back since.
Here's why we like Judge Napolitano.
I did.
Well, why we did like him. Because he truly is a libertarian, and he truly knows how to articulate the libertarian point of view, a very conservative libertarian. And so he's right on point with that. But you can't be wrong on law.
No.
If you have an attorney general that resigns and there is a large gap between the time that you don't have an attorney general and the time that the Senate gets back to be able to vote on an approval for your attorney general, you can appoint somebody in the interim.
Right, for a total of 7 months maximum. And if the Senate is reviewing a nominee in that time frame, after 7 months, if they're still interviewing him and the 7 months is expired, the president can renew it as long as that the Senate is. And that came up in 1998 under Clinton.
Oh, Clinton. Okay.
Under Clinton, because if one party has the Senate and the other party has the presidency, they could stall you out for years
and I'm gonna tell you right now,
and never get your job. You can never get your job done.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, we have no government if the president of the United States or any other high office holder is not allowed the appointments that he needs. If they are not allowing him. And let's use Attorney General as a perfect example. You should not. No president should be denied his Attorney General. I think it's been a huge, almost a constitutional crisis that Sessions has turned out to be a Democrat plant whose job it was to stall. Don't do anything and come up with excuses. No matter what you do, don't do anything in benefit or that would be considered as labor for the president in any way, shape, or form. Use every excuse you can. You got to recuse yourself. You got to work on projects that have nothing to do with the president's agenda.
Don't hand over documents to your own party.
Yeah, they had to do contempt of Congress. They subpoenaed all kinds of stuff, and Sessions was just like, what?
Subpoenaed what?
Certified letter. I got to sign this? What?
Who's got the stamp? I don't got the stamp.
I don't know. Who's signing this? I don't know. And
I've never done this before.
So he's been an obstructionist plant by the Democrat Party. And so we had no attorney general. By the President of the United States, we the people's duly elected president didn't even get an attorney general for 2 years. Now that he's gone, they want to try to deny him an attorney general for another couple months. Forget that.
Maybe even another year. I don't know how long. 7 months, 6 months, whatever.
Yeah, who knows? And the point is that there actually is a law that allows him to put somebody in there. So he's not breaking any laws. He's not breaking the Constitution. They're crazy. So anyway.
No, you're absolutely right. And Donald Trump tweeted out, so funny to see little Adam California, talking about the fact that acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker was not approved by the Senate, but not to mentioning the facts that Bob Mueller, who is highly conflicted, was not approved by the Senate either.
Oh, there you go.
So Mueller not being approved by the Senate had nothing to do with the fact that Matt Whitaker not approved by the Senate.
Yeah.
What do you want,
crazy.
Adam? S-H-I-T-T? S-C-H-I-T-T.
What did you say?
S-C-H-I-T-T.
What did you say before that?
I forgot the C.
Oh, yeah.
So Trump tweeted out it did Schiff's name. Instead of 2 F's at the end, it's 2 T's.
Yeah, so we can't actually say it, but...
well, you could, but it ain't no good.
Yeah.
I saw that, and I copied. It was a...
Well, my question is Rush Limbaugh on Monday going to actually say it?
Yes!
So tune in.
Of course he will.
Tune in to Rush Limbaugh on Monday.
Of course he will. So the Huffington Post, which we know is just a compost. It's just nothing awful. Huffington Post put out an article that said, Trump hammered on acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker by conservative group. America needs an Attorney General who doesn't play politics. Their ad says. I'm like, what?
That's their opinion. It's a
conservative group? that's blasting Trump?
Well, we've seen that before, but I'm not going to take anybody's word for it. I have to know myself.
So here's the 30-second clip, the 30-second ad, and I got to looking into it.
This is Matthew Whitaker. He's a political ally of President Trump and now oversees the Department of Justice and Mueller investigation. What does he think about the Mueller investigation?
The appointment of Bob Mueller, I don't think was necessary or appropriate. What I see is a president that is starting to figure out, if I want to, I can terminate you. Legally, there is certainly a way for that to happen.
We need an attorney general who doesn't play politics. Call your senator and tell them Whitaker must recuse himself from the Mueller investigation.
Now, what did he say? What did Whitaker say that was political? He was voicing his legal opinion on the matter, that just because you don't agree with it doesn't mean he's playing politics. We need an attorney. What do you think attorneys do? Attorneys defend their client. And that's all he was doing. He was giving out either facts or opinions based on the situation at hand. And First Amendment allows you to do that. And there's no law that says that why should he recuse himself as the attorney general? Now, if he was a judge in the case, that may be.
Or if he was Rod Rosenstein, who signed off on the final FISA warrant to spy on Donald Trump's campaign.
Yeah, illegally, by the way. Illegally.
Illegally. Or Bob Mueller, who worked for Obama for 8 years. I mean, I'm just saying, and all the Democrat lawyers, and you're up in the tens of millions of dollars that the investigation is called. What?
Yeah, somebody said it won't matter because Mueller's 5 steps ahead of this administration. Really? So 2 years and nothing to bring down Donald Trump whatsoever.
Yeah, he's 5.
Nothing whatsoever.
Kerry,
and every single indictment. Oh, what about the dozens of indictments on things like lying to the FBI, which we're now finding out is just completely made up. They're basically saying, hey, let's get 2 testimonies from 2 different people, and if there's anything that overlaps that doesn't match, we're going to pick which one is wrong.
Yeah,
and instead of saying that this is an inaccurate statement, what you thought was true is not, we're going to go ahead and say that you knew that wasn't true, right. Which makes you a liar, and guess what? That's against the law, so we're going to go ahead and indict you. That's what's going on. That is an abortion of justice. That is so un-American. Do you want to live in a land where we have this rogue department acting as a 4th branch of government because the Democrats insist on their independence from the branch that they're supposed to be serving under in order to go after these witch hunts of people with absolutely no evidence against them whatsoever, just accusations and opinions of the leaders of these rogue departments. We're living in a banana republic at this point.
Yeah.
And that's what you guys are advocating for because it does what I want to happen, which is to overturn this election that really made me sad. It made me teary-eyed because this horrendous criminal that ran as the candidate for my party didn't beat the other guy, and that makes me sad. You know what? You're a sore loser. Go away.
So this Republican outlet, it's called ruleoflawrepublicans.com. Well, I started to look them up and get into it. It doesn't take much. They just opened an account on Twitter in March 2018. This thing is all set up. It looks on the surface right out of the gate. Some libtards set this thing up. It's fake news to try and fake us. Why else would Huffington Post be reporting on this? Really? And nobody else is reporting on this. Is Huffington Post? Come on, man. This is a battle of news. We're in a battle of news right now, folks.
Right.
Real news versus fake news.
It's a propaganda war. We saw this during the Cold War.
Right.
If you've been paying attention to the Cold War, which I know a lot of people watching may not have even been born yet when the Cold War ended, but it was largely what made it a Cold War as opposed to a hot war was that we were not fighting directly. We were doing proxy wars, which obviously a lot of people were. It was real war, but it was proxy war. But mainly there was a lot of propaganda war going on. You know, a lot of people credit the defeat of the Soviet Union by dropping or by sneaking Hollywood movies in there so that they became indoctrinated into the Western culture.
They said, "Hey, no, look at what we got going on."
Yeah, they knew our music. They were sneaking and sharing with each other movies and music and stuff like that from the West, mainly America. And they were really getting fired up about being able to have the kind of freedom that we have. And it ended up causing people to want to jumped the wall in Berlin, and all this stuff, and tried to escape communism, and it led to the fall of the Berlin Wall, which led to the liquidation of the country of Soviet Union.
Pantyhose.
Pantyhose. What about pantyhose?
Women.
What about them?
Didn't have it in communist Russia.
And they wanted it.
And then they found out pantyhose, and they're like, what?
What?
I could look like a lady, a beautiful lady.
Oh, wow.
You mean this will hide the 6 month no shave because I ain't got no razors? Nice. Yeah, no, pantyhose, folks. All the creature comforts of life in the Western world, just hand that over to anybody in some kind of socialist, communist dystopia, and you'll get them quickly to change their mind. And that's the thing that Magdalene Rhodes was talking about. We lost the youth vote, 67-32. We got some work to do. We're uphill battle. Check this out. This is the Russian investigation scoreboard. Bill Clinton investigated for Whitewater. That investigation lasted 9 years. A 6-year investigation. There were 9 indictments and 0 convictions.
Okay.
Hillary Clinton in Benghazi lasted 4 years. Thank you, Trey Gowdy. 0 indictments. Thank you, Trey Gowdy. And 0 convictions. Thank you, Trey Gowdy.
Oh, that's just a travesty right there. Because the reason Benghazi turned into a bloodbath, a debacle, a complete failure in every way, shape, and form was for one reason. Because every decision made at every point of the way was made to figure out, they were trying to figure out what decisions do we need to make in order to protect Obama's chances of winning re-election. That's literally why all the decisions were made, which is why so many people died needlessly. So many people were abandoned. American people in a foreign land, but on American soil, because the consulate is considered American soil. The footprint of the consulate, American soil, died because they were being intentionally ignored and intentionally left alone, let die after hours and hours and hours of fighting against a terrorist attack, because by going to go save them would potentially threaten Obama's reelection. So
no, absolutely. And this week, some more information has come out. And what the story that's being told right now is that Obama and Hillary Clinton both. McCain's name wasn't brought up, but I'm throwing McCain's name out there because there are pictures of McCain with the Taliban taking selfies with the Taliban and these jihadist groups. But the Obama administration was selling the rocket RPGs, the shoulder-fired RPGs. They were selling them to the Taliban in Libya. And the reason why they were doing that in Libya is because they wanted to overthrow Muammar Gaddafi, because the Clintons and the Obamas cut deals with mineral rights, if you will, with the warlords that were going to take over. They promised the warlords, yep, once you overthrow Muammar, you can take over, just cut us the deal so that we could mine and we can oil, whatever the money would be. And so that went bad fast. And the reason why that went bad fast is because these terrorist regimes, one of them launched an RPG at an American helicopter, but he did not arm the rocket. He apparently didn't understand and didn't know how to do it. And the aircraft landed, the helicopter landed safely. The rocket was recovered. The serial numbers on the rocket led all the way back to the State Department to where it came from. So Obama sent Christopher Stevens in as ambassador. Christopher Stevens sent him into and had to stay there, was not allowed to leave, and had to stay there to where they were going to retrieve those RPGs back. They're going to retrieve the rockets back from these terrorists. And that's why you had the uprising. They weren't giving that stuff back. There's no way they were going to give it back. So then that's where you had that come to play. And then he had the stand-down order, multiple stand-down orders that could only come from Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Nobody else could have given stand-down orders. Just wouldn't have happened. You were talking about blood on their hands. Bill Stills called it treason. Treason.
I disagreed with that.
Yeah,
you have to be at war.
Yeah.
I mean, just on legal grounds, it's not treason. It's very un-American or whatnot, but yeah.
Seditious? Sedition?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So with that
you
being
have
said,
to aid. You have to aid and abet an enemy. And what are we identifying an enemy? I mean, you have to be able to identify an enemy,
right? And we weren't at war with that individual.
Or you have to literally go to war with America to be considered treasonous. If you go to war against America, or if you aid the enemy.
Okay, well, fine. if we find out later on that Barack Obama actually helped and aided Saddam Hussein, say he didn't die, and we were aiding Saddam Hussein at the same time being at war with him.
Well, forget about that. Somebody this week, I mean, I asked about it, I don't know, said that there's all these terrorist training camps on American soil in the continental United States.
I keep hearing it, but I don't know.
Yeah, all over the United States, not just kind of dotting the border, but all over, like spread evenly all the way across the United States. Terrorist training camps with Islamic extremist terrorist camps. And so I threw out there, I said, where is this going? What are we talking about here? So I threw out there, I said, well, let me ask you this. Do you think deep state actors, our government, the CIA or whatever, is trying to build a, what do they call that? A clandestine type of army to go against us? And we're about to get into Swalwell talking about trying to nuke us and take our weapons. So it kind of ties in together. And people answered me, and these are people that believe the less believable stuff. I'm not saying it's not true, but it's shockingly unbelievable. But you could say that those people be treasonous because by aiding foreign enemies of America and training them to help them launch a war against America.
Yeah.
I don't think you can get any more treasonous than that. So anyway.
So real quick before we get into Swalwell, again, Hillary Clinton, Benghazi, 4 years under investigation, 0 indictments, 0 convictions. Email scandal for Hillary Clinton, 2 years long, 0 indictments, 0 convictions.
Yeah, somebody on the comment section pointed out, yeah, you guys are just upset because you guys called Hillary Clinton a criminal and then nothing ever got it and she ain't been indicted with nothing. And I'm like, wait, we know the laws that she broke. And nobody's even denying it.
No, James Comey broke the law doing what he did.
Nobody's even denying. No. Nobody's denying these things. No. And so the idea that, well, because they didn't get indicted and they haven't been charged and they're not even in court, that somehow that means that they are not obviously criminals. Because like with the accusations against Trump, there's no evidence. Nobody's agreeing to any of this.
So we've got the Russia collusion. After 1 year, there were 19 indictments, 5 guilty pleas, and 4 convictions.
Which we all know. If you go through the details of all those, you find out that it's all a bunch of legalese BS.
And the convictions had absolutely nothing to do with Russia, nothing to do with Donald Trump.
And some of them had nothing to do with the actual charges, like the lying. Turns out that the people that they were accused of lying to said, no, they didn't lie to us. Literally.
Right.
Literally. Right. It's like if Brian's mad at me for lying to his wife, and his wife says, well, wait a minute, Brian. He didn't lie to me. No, he lied. It's like, what are we talking about here? That's exactly what happened. That's actually what happened. Now, in the case of Hillary Clinton, we know what she did. Right. We know that what she did was illegal, and nobody's even denying it. Instead, they're like, yeah, well, that's not important. And what are we even going after somebody? She lost the election. Leave her alone.
Well, check this out. Judicial Watch with Tom Fitton just won a huge deal here. A federal judge ordered Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to answer questions she has avoided for years about her private email server to conduct official U.S. diplomatic business. These questions were all put to her by Judicial Watch, so she's actually got to show back up in court again. This is going to be interesting.
Well, she needs to go to jail for at least,
I would say so,
6 months.
And then breaking, Ryan Savadra, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Folks, I don't know what's going on with Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham.
I'm not welcoming them to the conservative wing of the Republican Party.
They're not. They're acting like it. They won't be at the conference, I promise.
Yeah, they will not come to the American Priority Conference because I don't think we would have invited them.
No.
Lindsey Graham is acting like Mr. Conservative all of a sudden, like he suddenly wants to be in the Freedom Caucus or something ever since his BFF McCain passed away.
Right. And so now
don't
this,
trust him.
Mitch McConnell blocks Senator Jeff Flake's demand. I don't know if you saw this last week. Jeff Flake got up there and started demanding, Donald Trump, you must pass this bill to protect Mueller. If you guys don't pass this to protect Mueller, I will vote no on every judge that you nominate.
So we have a majority in the Senate.
Don't even need him anymore.
Yeah, we don't need him.
But Mitch McConnell blocks Jeff Flake's demand that the bill be passed protecting Special Mueller from being fired. Flake says he won't advance any more judicial nominees unless he gets his way on the bill. So Mitch McConnell shoots it down and doesn't even get a vote. Doesn't even go. So fast forward, Donald Trump tweets out, care how many lives are ruined. These are angry people, including the highly conflicted Bob Mueller, who worked for Obama 8 years. They won't even look at all the bad acts and crimes on the other side. Total witch hunt like no other in American history. And then that's when Adam Schiff tweeted out, last night, Senate Republicans blocked a bill to protect Mueller. This morning, Trump showed again why we need it. We will do everything in our power to protect the Mueller investigation, the independence of the Justice Department, and the rule of law. Doesn't that sound rule of law? This Democrats talking about rule of law now? And now we got a website, ruleoflawrepublicans.com. Come on, man. I ain't playing. None of us are playing that game no more. This is over. It's over. It's done.
Totally over. And I'm going to, it's a shame that it's taken this long. And, you know, I don't know. These things, these special counsels are just, they're almost, it's almost to the point where it's like, when it's over, we're all going to collectively say, you know what, let's just not do that anymore.
Dude, let's not do that anymore. And then real quick, the last thing, Kevin McCarthy to take top position in the minority for Republicans. We wanted Jim Jordan. We wanted other people.
Well, we wanted him to be the Speaker of the House, which you have to be, your party has to be in the majority for.
Right.
So we can't have that, and the Democrats will have that. And so they're going to have Kevin McCarthy be the minority leader, but that's actually a good thing. And there's something that Brian will probably be like, that's right, I heard that. Everybody's upset because everybody was talking about how awesomely conservative Jim Jordan is. He's just great. He's such a constitutionalist. He's a Freedom Caucus leader. Well, first and foremost, as Brian has in his show notes here, Judiciary Committee is where Jim Jordan's going to be going to.
And Trump nodded to Kevin, say, yo, Kevin, why don't you put Jim Jordan in there?
Okay. And that seems to be what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Also, I actually have some friends in a little circle of important people that have been discussing this Kevin McCarthy thing, and they're calling him a cuck-servative. And
what?
Right, and they're upset. They're upset about Jim Jordan not getting...
Because what I was seeing...
Well, I was going to tell you and see if you remember this. We've been flooded with commercials on our local AM radio station by a Tea Party group, I think it's a national Tea Party group, about Kevin McCarthy. They're welcoming him, and they're saying he's going to be great for us Tea Party conservatives. This is the commercial, because he is currently, as we speak, pushing through his own bill that he co-wrote with some other people, where he's going to fund Donald Trump's wall and all kinds of other stuff. So I'm sitting here thinking, why are we upset and complaining about Kevin McCarthy being in this position if this is the kind of policy he's going to be pushing? He's going to be funding the wall and doing all these other things. And this is all in a commercial that's paid for by a Tea Party group that's playing here locally in Cincinnati. And I'm like, all right, well, let's go with Kevin McCarthy.
And this by the New York Times, where they said Trump has nudged Kevin McCarthy to make Jim Jordan the top Republican in the Judiciary Committee, which would put Trump's fiercest loyalty in position to defend him against investigations and impeachment.
Well, that's good, because I think the investigations is a net drain on our country. I've actually used this analogy before, so I feel free to go ahead and do this, and I'll repeat it to you again. The movie First Night with Sean Connery.
Oh, wow.
So that movie was about King Arthur.
Yeah.
And the Knights of the Round Table and Sir Lancelot. Baby doesn't have back in this one.
No back in this one.
Guinevere, I think is her name. She doesn't. She might have back. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But in that movie, I'm gonna spoiler alert, but you should watch it anyway because it's a great movie. If you've ever known that story, the King Arthur, the Knights of the Round Table, it's fiction, but it could have happened. So there's this big infighting between the Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur, and especially Lancelot, who's going after the Queen romantically.
Right.
And it turns into a big debacle. Meanwhile, they have these arch enemies out there that are always trying to storm Camelot. They're these barbarians, and Camelot is this perfect utopia. And these barbarians are the whole movie long, the whole story long. They're trying to figure out ways to get King Arthur and to kill him and to capture. In fact, I think at one point, the reason Sir Lancelot even was brought into the Round Table is because he rescued the Queen from the barbarians who kidnapped her. And so anyway, at the very end, when King Arthur's about to sentence Sir Lancelot for doing stuff with the wife, they have this big open court where they're going to try and convict him. And they invited everybody from the entire kingdom to come and watch this thing to I guess to restore the honor of the crown. Well, guess what? The barbarians were like, all right, don't mind if I do. They all go in there and they sneak in their weapons and everything. And as soon as they say, all right, let's go, they take over the whole entire Camelot. So
just unfortunate. So real quick, let's get back into this last bit of part. Democrat congressman has proposed outlawing military-style semi-automatic assault weapons and forcing existing owners to sell their weapons or face prosecution. A major departure from prior gun control proposals that typically exempt existing firearms. In a USA Today op-ed entitled "Ban Assault Weapons, Buy Them Back, Go After Registers," Representative Eric Swalwell, Democrat, California, argued Thursday that prior proposals to ban assault weapons would leave millions of assault weapons in our communities for decades to come. Swalwell proposes that the government should offer up to $1,000 for every weapon covered by a
new ban.
A new ban. Estimating that it would take $15 billion to buy back roughly 15 million weapons.
Why are they even? This is the dumbest proposal. It's nothing new. We've heard this before. Obama did the buyback program for clunkers.
Oh, yeah, Cash for Clunkers almost destroyed an entire economy, an entire section of an entire, not an economy, but an entire
business sector.
A whole.
So the thing about socialism and communism and whatever you want to call it, it's all the same thing, is that whenever these people, these policymakers, these tyrants, these oppressors who are in charge that make all these crazy rules and laws, we all fall victim to the law of unintended consequences.
Yep.
And that's what happens. You do the Cash for Clunkers, you do $1,000 buyback program for guns. This is ridiculous. Nobody wants to give up their guns. Nobody wants to sell their guns to you. Even if they bought the gun for $800 and you're offering $1,000 for it, you know what he's going to do? He's going to take that $1,000 and just buy a new gun.
Right.
He's going to make $200 off the deal and go out and buy another gun.
So Joe Biggs tweeted out, so basically Rep Swalwell wants a war because that's what you would get. You're out of your bleep mind if you think I'll give up my rights and give the government all the power.
Right. And what he's basically saying, he's summarizing a philosophy here, and that is that as long as we have guns, we have a check on the government's power, is what he's saying. And that's true. That is what the founders were thinking. By the way, Tim Pool, I love him to death. I watch all of his videos. I have subscribed, notifications, all this. I watch every one of his videos. And I really like his centrist position on everything. He tries his hardest to not say bias. He flat out said in his video that the founders did not write the Second Amendment to defend or protect us against our own government. It was to form it was to form militias quickly in order to defend us from foreign governments. And I just got to tell you, if you're a fan of Tim Pool and you watch this, and you would agree with me on that he's right or mostly right about most of the stuff that he posts, he is so historically wrong about that. 100%. It was in the context, like even if you don't know the context of our founding, that we went to Revolutionary War. It was basically a civil war. People never think about this. The Revolutionary War was a civil war between British colonists and British government, the mainland, the motherland of Great Britain. It was a civil war that ended up with two different countries. So people don't look back at it as a civil war because it did found a new country. But if you didn't know any of that, you could read and look at the Federalist Papers and whatever, and just read the Second Amendment, and it actually says to you, in order to maintain a free state, which is basically saying that in order to maintain our freedom, well, what stops our freedom? Is it foreign governments that stops our freedom? It's the domestic government. Domestic.
Yes.
They're the ones that are the threat to our liberties and freedom. So in order to maintain that freedom, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And then if you take into context the fact that they came up with this amendment because their own personal government was trying to disarm them and come and take their weapons away. And so they wrote this in the context of that being done to them. Yes, the Second Amendment was designed specifically as a check to our own government.
Right, and they wrote the First Amendment because that was being violated. That was their God-given rights that they had was being absolutely violated by the king, and the Second Amendment to protect the first.
So Joe Biggs was summarizing that entire thing in this one tweet, and I added that context in case you didn't know where he was coming from on that, and then the response from Representative Eric Swalwell of California.
And it would be short war, my friend. The government has nukes. Too many of them, but they're legit. I'm sure if we talked, we could find common ground to protect our families and communities.
Okay, so this is interesting. That caused Twitter to melt down. I mean, it was a full, because rightfully so, people took that as a threat to us being nuked by our government in order to disarm us.
Right. Even Breitbart News showed a picture of a nuclear a mushroom cloud with Swalwell's face in it.
Oh, my God. Ben Garrison instantly drew a picture. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'll describe it really quick. It's a picture of Swalwell. He might. I hope you find it. Do Ben Garrison nuke? Maybe that should be in there. Just do nuke. Yeah. Okay. There it is. The very first one.
Yep. Oh yeah, I did see that one.
Okay. See if you can enlarge it and show everybody. I don't know how big you can make it.
I can make it as big as the screen.
Oh, cool. I know in the past you had trouble with that, but we need to show you guys for sure. Because it's, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So instead of describing it to you, we could just show it to you while we talk about it. There we go. We're almost there. All right. Let's show them real quick. So in this giant nuclear transport is Swalwell screaming, "Drop your weapons or else." He calls the nuke a legit nuke
because it's legit, too legit
and
to quit.
Unfortunately for Rambo Biggs, aka Joe Biggs, it doesn't have his name. It just says the Second Amendment, which I think is more appropriate instead of personalizing it. If he wants to Photoshop that and put his own name there, I would not fault him for that because he is certainly the catalyst for this. But so the interpretation of Swalwell's tweet was that he's threatening the Second Amendment or our right to bear arms or just our possession of arms in general. He wants to disarm us, and if it resulted in a war, he basically was like, "Yeah, we're going to nuke you." Is basically
we got plenty of them.
Now Scott Adams, which I noticed you didn't put him in your notes, so I'll go ahead.
I did.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
You got Scott Adams in there?
Oh, you know I did.
Okay. Because he had several videos chastising right-wingers about their response to this.
And Scott Adams replied back to Swalwell and said, "I don't recommend
he's talking to everybody. He was talking to everybody, his followers.
Okay, I don't recommend interpreting the nuke part of the tweet as anything but colorful hyperbole that got your attention. And I hate that I have to explain that to so many people.
Well, I wasn't the only one to respond kind of negatively to Scott Adams here. Apparently, he got flooded. So he came out with a video calling it Swalwell derangement syndrome because he was just laser focused on the fact that we were taking it as a literal threat. But actually, you don't even have the
one that you responded to.
The most important one that I responded to. I'll find it real quick because I think that one was really important. But let me find it real quick here. Scott Adams says.
So even Jack Posobiec even retweeted out. Jack Posobiec said, to be clear, Representative Swalwell doesn't want U.S. troops on the border protecting Americans, but does want to use the military force to confiscate firearms from law-abiding Americans.
That's a good one.
Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Just come on, man. I don't know if you're going to find it.
Wow. It's taking me way longer than I thought. Well,
AmericanPrioritesConferenceFolks.com, AmericanPriorities.com. Jump over there, grab your stuff, grab your tickets.
All right, well, let me, I'll find it.
Look at all the folks that are going to be speaking in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We got one more show. Next week's show is going to be huge, just as big as this show, if not bigger. Big names, hold your breath. Big names will be coming on the show to talk about American Priorities Conference. Got to get the word out, folks. If you want to save this country, if you want to save the values of this country, this is what we got to do.
So I finally found it. So I responded to that tweet by saying, love you, Scott, but you're missing the big picture here. This is a non-serious threat used by a megalomaniac to gently remind us that if he wanted to, he could forcefully remove all guns. It also implies that our right to bear arms is a benefit granted to us by those who can nuke us. So I look at
that was nice. That was perfect.
Yeah, and I wanted to interpret it big picture philosophically because that's you got to look at the context of why we have a Second Amendment, why we have a right to bear arms, who Representative Swalwell is. He is a lawmaker. He has the ability to team up with enough of his colleagues to completely abolish the Second Amendment. He's one of 200 and some odd that he would need to get together to do that. And of course, the bill would have to go to the Senate, and enough senators would have to agree with it.
That'd be shot down right away.
It wouldn't go through, but he's that close. He's way closer than us. He's way closer than anybody else who can come through and say.
And for him to be joking about this, though.
Yeah. Well, I see the joking part. I think is there's two ways you can look at it. Do I think he's actually going to advocate for nuking citizens?
Of course not.
Of course not.
But I think it was a way for him to scare the people.
Yes. So
I'm gonna strong arm you. Watch.
Right. And so later on, so after saying that, I thought, well, let me back up a little bit because I did listen to Scott Adams' scope after that, where he explained it further. And then I said, you know what? I think this might be the Goldilocks clause. And I learned a lot about sales techniques from Brian because I was totally blind to sales techniques before I met Brian because he actually did professional sales for a while. So he knows like these little tricks of the trade.
But when you say before you met me, I mean, we know each other.
No, before I met you, before we start hanging out.
Right, before we start hanging out.
Yeah, I can't believe I said that.
Before I met you.
Well, that was an error in thought process there, but yeah, like we knew each other since we were born.
1978 or 76?
75.
75.
Yeah, I was born in 75.
Is Steven 76?
No, he's older than me. He's 75, but several months early.
Oh,
so anyway,
Sherry's 76.
So the Goldilocks clause. Now Brian and I could both explain the Goldilocks clause and maybe even use it in an example. So let's say you're buying a car, all right? And you have a certain budget and you want a certain car. You obviously want the most that you can afford, the best value, but mostly the most you can buy with what you have. And so the salesman doesn't know what you have or what you can afford, so you get into this negotiation. And the first thing he's going to offer you is the Cadillac.
Yeah, the deluxe model.
Yeah.
The brand new deluxe. Yeah. 29, not 2018, not this year's model. 2019, and it's got 1 mile.
And it's fully loaded. It's got everything except for like rocket launchers. Like, it's got everything. And then he tells you the price, and that's when you proceed to tell him, because best case scenario is you tell him, yeah, I can afford that. I just realized the time, so we're gonna have to expedite this. So, okay. So the second thing he does once he finds out you can't afford this, it says, well, we can just give you this piece of crap over here full of rust. It's cheap, but you know what? You can afford it, and that's kind of like almost like a takeaway,
right?
And then they end up with the Goldilocks close, which is, well, why don't we get you something in the middle where we can give you a lot of features, but not as expensive as the Cadillac. And by that time, you're upsold so much that it ends up being a win-win for everybody. That's the Goldilocks close. I'm wondering if Rep. Swalwell was doing that, because here's option 1 in the Goldilocks close for Representative Swalwell. The one we all want is the right to bear arms, fully. That's what we really want. But what is the cost of the right to bear arms? It's scary.
Yeah, very scary.
And it's risky.
Much risk.
There could be a kid with a fully automatic belt fed doing circles in a chair, a swivel chair.
Yes.
And just shooting in all directions.
How about that monkey out in the jungle? It's Photoshop, total Photoshop. But they give this monkey a fully automatic machine gun.
Yeah.
And the monkey goes.
I want to see that again. That's pretty cool. I vaguely remember that, but we need to find that again. So that's option 1. Sure, we want it, but wow, that's a heavy cost. The second option is what we got from Rep. Swalwell. He's in the middle of the Goldilocks. His next one was, well, you could just die in a fiery nuclear holocaust by your government. That's the second option. So we're all like, whoa.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants the nuclear holocaust. So we don't need that. So the Goldilocks close is, well, how about this? You can't give you full, risky, dangerous right to bear arms. And you don't want to die in a nuclear holocaust.
No.
So why don't you just peacefully and voluntarily hand over all your guns to us?
Meet us in the middle.
Meet us in the middle. Just hand over all your guns. You don't have to get upset. We don't have to nuke you. And we'll all be happy. That's the Goldilocks close. You think that's what he was doing?
Yeah, I think that's what he was
doing. It's the Goldilocks close. I'm telling you. Man.
It's unbelievable. And then you got the Jim Acosta thing, folks. It's not going to last long. Donald Trump is going to, they're going to freeze him out. They're not even going to ask him any questions. And Donald Trump has already promised, if he gets out of line, I'm kicking him out. There's no questions asked.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much more to say about that Acosta thing. Giving us 2 sets of bells. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll get to it.
All right, fastest 3 hours you're going to spend with anybody, anywhere, at any given time in your entire life, folks. Share this with your friends and your family. Tell everybody about Smyth Radio. Come hang out with us. And I didn't get a chance because we're promoting everything else. Go to the website, smithradio.com. There's a big giant letter P. That'll take you to the Priority Conference website. Next to that, some hot pants. They're specially made hot pants. So, the stretch pants for women.
Okay.
A new shop for Smyth Radio.
Power. What kind of power? Unfathomable. It's without fathom.
And we locked up.
gun.